All right. Good evening, everybody. I am rather sorry for the late start, but these things happen. I don't have a lot of really good excuses for it. So I got home, I was very tired, and I nodded off. I got up about half an hour before the cast, and I didn't have a very big lunch, and I'd skipped breakfast. So I was ridiculously hungry. I decided to go out and grab it, and there was just a whole nightmare of trying to get that arranged. And then, excuse me, I did a bit of grocery shopping because it was taking too long. But, anyways, excuses aside, we are now here with Stellaris. As is my way, I am trying out some new things as far as quality is concerned for the stream. So the big difference that you should notice is that I'm not at 1440 anymore. But I do have a slightly higher resolution than I normally play at, which hopefully will start... I'm hoping that this is maybe a little bit more of a happy medium. I have a couple of concerns about this one, but as always, and this will apply if you're watching on YouTube, let me know what you think of the quality. I think that's probably the real determining factor. Rather than me list off a whole bunch of settings and given issues, it would be interesting to see whether or not people are noticing any of these quality differences, or if I'm sort of banking, or not banking, but if I'm able to sort of coast on some of these technical issues. So, for instance, frame rates. I've been broadcasting at a certain frame rate for a very long time, but it's very clear that has not been present on the stream because of other factors. So. Anyways, just let me know. 1 second, I gotta sneeze. So, Paradox was very kind in sending along a key for the Ancient Relics story pack. I'm mildly curious if they're ever going to change the background for the cover. It's a very handsome background, but obviously this one was brought in for Apocalypse, and it has been a while since we've had the Apocalypse. So let's just load up our new species. The exciting moment in every Stellaris game, of course, is when we get to make a new species. We already did that, so hopefully you're at least somewhat familiar with our space dwarves. If not, that's fine, because we will do a quick recap. But yeah, so actually, you know what? Let's do it right away. So one of the reasons why we wound up with these space dwarves, also known as the Akano, is Johnny Big Time stopped by the stream to help me out, just make sure that none of the quality stuff was getting too troublesome. And I had sort of an Indiana Jones-like species in mind, and then Johnny saw one of the dwarf portraits, and pretty much the whole plan I had got thrown out. And I'll admit, it's always, in my opinion, it's a lot more fun to kick around hey, we got Johnny Big Time here right now. Let me shout him out because he's a hell of a man. I was feeling really bad about the late start. I wasn't sure if you were going to be kicking around or not. But always good to see the only Johnny Big Time. Johnny, you've been seeing all my quality problems. Let me know if the stream looks weird or different. I'm going to suspect it looks worse than yesterday, but I'm curious how you think it looks relative to some of my other streams. Anyways, Johnny, I'm not going to say too much about this, but Johnny has let me know a little bit about what he's been working on his stream, and I am really looking forward towards it. He is my favorite caster on Twitch. He has got a tremendous sense of humor, a really great sort of camera presence, and I don't know, like he had a little bit of a hiatus from streaming just because he's got his own things to deal with. But in addition to being very helpful in terms of getting the cast through, he has a lifelong love of dwarves. And so as soon as he saw the letters are not as crisp, but you can still read them. Cool. So there's another thing that I changed that I'm wondering if it just makes it look a little less high quality, but I'm curious if people will notice it or not. So, but yeah, so one of the things that was so fun about this is that normally I do improv the species creation. The last time was actually going to be one of the yesterday was going to be the first time that I had a pre-prepared civ. But getting Johnny in here and really excited about dwarves, we decided to run with this idea. So this is the story of Harrison Jones, High King of Old Albania. No artifact was safe from Jones, and even the most ingenious engineers of ages past could not develop a mechanism that would confound his ingenuity. Through his legendary exploits, Jones united the quarrelsome tribes and set his sights on new secrets and treasures and the treasures buried within. The Econo people of Old Albania are now reaching out to the galaxy in their stone ships, continuing the great work of the High King. No tomb is safe, and no civilization will remain untouched. So for those of you who prefer stats to story, they have an alpine preference. They're industrious, they're natural engineers, they're strong, they're non-adaptive. And then as far as civics are concerned, it is an imperial system. They're xenophobic, militarist, materialist. They have a Byzantine bureaucracy and philosopher king. The Byzantine bureaucracy I needed to sort of explain. I always sort of imagined, in addition to the stone ships, I imagined this bureaucracy that has got the great database of grudges. So if you want to go and like get your license renewed or something like that, you first need to be cross-checked in the database of grudges, and there is an accounting before anything else happens. But I didn't have enough space for that. But this is the reason it occurred to me. Everybody's kind of like, why didn't you pick like quarrelsome as a trait? It is because I actually decided to model that in the bureaucracy, and then I completely failed to write it. But anyways, I hope you approve. Now, the story is all well and good. As it turns out, Ancient Relics like apparently detected that I was picking a dwarf species. So first of all, we did wind up with the name Old Albania, and we did have to we did re-roll a couple of times, but as soon as we saw that name, it's like, oh god, this is so perfect. So that was one nice little moment. The next one was when we went to our first archaeological site. The very first thing that we found was a treasure chamber. A small hidden treasure chamber was recently uncovered by Raoul Nick at the archaeological dig site on Lando 2A. Although most of the found trinkets are of little practical use, they have substantial energy credit value. And then, because why not, we are in the year 2236 and we have a Titan, because dwarves are that good at engineering. It almost bankrupted the species, but yeah, ironically. By the way, Johnny, we were talking a little bit about the most perfect treasure chamber. Yeah, we were talking about this. So it is 10% on the ship upkeep. There was a thing, I don't want to spend too much time on it because it was a mildly negative experience for everyone involved, but I was curious a little bit about fleet logistician because I couldn't remember if it was 5 or 10% on its own. But that math that I gave you over Discord is correct. I am really happy to have Johnny in my channel whenever he's here. He brings something to chat. I did, by the way, treat myself to one thing because of the late start. I'll try and make it a full run on a cast, but do keep in mind I have work in the morning, so it's going to be a little dodgy to get everything done on time. But to make myself a little bit more in line with I don't know, to make myself happier about all of this, I did give myself a little bit of Lagavulin, which is my favorite whiskey, and I actually haven't had one in like months, so just like I remember it. All right, so other than the fact that we've wound up with this perfect emergent story about the rising dwarf empire, Our next concern is what are we going to do with all of this? Like, what are our priorities moving forward? So we haven't encountered any rival species yet, and of course the good news is, as the dramatic music that you're hearing is indicating, we're kind of looking for rivals, preferably people who don't believe the same things as us, because then we can go to war with them. The other thing I want to do is try and focus a little bit on my construction. Now, I was on the fence about this, but I think I am going to build a colony ship for Okul, only, you know, the colonizable one. Where are you? It's not like that great of a colony, but I always do like the idea of building up the population. So we'll hit our colonize button. It's going to cost us 200 of everything, but we do have a surplus, so this planet offers low habitability for the selected species. Colonization is still possible, but all pops will suffer an increase in upkeep and resource usage. So the fact that I have 2 planets like this now will potentially be a drain on resources, but that's fine. We will have some ways of dealing with that. I have remaining alloys for more, stations. What I ultimately want to do is to get out to Polygar, so that I can do the archaeology there. I've already got a science ship on its way to Jasmak for more expeditions, and eventually I'll also be starting to upgrade some stations and whatnot. But I need to think a little bit about what my defenses are going to look like. It looks like we've got a nice little. So this whole area here, I don't need to worry about defending too much. This is the most logical choke point at the moment. But of course we're going to have something coming in from the Okul area, so it'd be nice if I could sort of push that out somewhere in this little, this little area. So at the moment I've got a bunch of science ships sort of getting the lay of the land and trying to figure out where things are. Similar idea with this science ship. We're currently thinking of a choke point here or here. But again, until we get stopped by a rival species, the sky's the limit sort of at the moment. So we'll unpause and we'll see where everything's going. And in the meantime, a couple of things. I'd like to get my energy back on a bit of a higher rate. So we did hit population growth encouraged. This is so that we can get to 40 pops. Ultimately,
construction finalized.
Ultimately, I went for the cultural monument on my capital first. And this is just because it gives me a unity bonus, and we were able to get our technology and one vision fairly early on. The next step would probably be prosperity. That seems like a very dwarfish thing to do. Shared knowledge. The recent scientist edition, Jofaba, has put her knowledge of technology to good use. Her shared insights have pushed our physics research to new heights. Our research into physics technologies is further.
Scientific progress
Holy
attained.
Crap. Okay, that's great news. Alright, so subspace sensors. This is a really helpful one. It's going to cost me a bit to upgrade my existing fleets, but as far as the science ships and all of that, we're already able to see that there's some potential threats moving forward. So sensors detect that subspace fluctuations left in the wake of traveling starships. Their sensitivity and range is greater than that of a gravitic sensor array. And then we have gained synchronized defenses, unlock star-based building defense grid supercomputer, aligning defensive and offensive weapons execution paradigms allows for increased efficiency. So let's see what we're dealing with here. Oh, okay. I don't believe this actually will hurt me though. So the ancient vault is relatively benign, although I believe I will not be able to colonize the system. Contact report Leviathan. We have now found beings far surpassing anything encountered in our Empire's spacefaring history. Life is capable of growing to an unprecedented scale, rivaling moons in size and mass. Nothing could have prepared us for this. This day will forever mark a turning point in the history of the Akano High Kingdom. Let us hope we survive long enough to tell it. We are but motes of dust. Now, it would be good for me to secure this for my empire so somebody else can't take advantage of it. I seem to recall the vault... I mean, again, the ancient vault is such a such an on-brand thing for us to encounter. I believe it requires quite a bit of energy to go through, so I may not be able to get through, but we'll definitely give it a shot when the time comes. And Kabji will be coming online in just a little bit, so I'm going to dedicate some mineral resources towards establishing the colony. I don't think we've got gene clinics yet. I believe because of the low habitability and the fact that I am a little resource constrained, I probably want to consider making things a bit more comfortable for this planet.
Planetary worksite established.
Okay. Now, I'm mildly curious as to whether or not... Oh, no sector.
System resources analyzed.
It says it's in the frontier sector. Okay, so this will create a new sector with this planet as the sector capital. All systems within 4 jumps not previously part of any sector will become a part of this new sector. I don't know if it tells me what the advantage to that is, though. So let's take a look at what the... I used to understand... Like, I understood the original... system rather well. I suppose it probably just winds up giving me I suppose it winds up giving me the like the governor ability. And let me just take a quick look. I don't think this is 4 jumps, but 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it is. Okay. So yeah, we'll wait until we've colonized Okul and then we'll create a secondary sector. Anyways, for Kabji, similar idea to the other site. We want to get people on the planet. We want to get them working, and we want to get to size 10 as quickly as possible. So the Noxious Swamp takes up farm space. If this planet's going to be useful for anything, it will be farming, and I don't feel bad about doubling that up. In reality, this planet isn't really that good for much. What I might wind up doing is I might actually focus it on industry and... Oh, that would be a really interesting idea, actually. To focus it more on industry and, like, to build a bunch of civilian industry on the planet here. And then if I get stuck for the others... yeah, I like this idea a lot more for it, actually. So we'll start off by building a city district. So city districts wind up giving me 1 clerk job and 5 housing. Clerk jobs produce amenities and trade value. Now the fact of the matter is, to establish the colony, I'm still going to need people to work. So we've got 2 people on the planet right now working. We've got a city district. And what I can do here is I'll just build another mining district, so this gives me a total of 3 jobs. I'm actually going to move the mining. No, I have enough housing for 1 more. So what this will wind up doing for me is I'll get myself to my first sort of open slot. Now, I usually like doing the monuments in this case. Yeah, thank you, Johnny. We had transcodes at the beginning of the stream last time too, so... What I think I'm going to do on this one, it's a little hard because obviously every time I go live, nobody really cares that I'm experimenting with anything, but what I think I might do is when I do a cast on another day, like a day that I don't normally broadcast, I'm going to mess around with some of my quality settings and see... It's entirely possible that because I was making such a large demand on Twitch's... on Twitch's settings, they decided, well, no transcodes for you. And if I do something a little bit more like this, it'll be fine. But I don't want to spend too much time focusing on it. It is important to me, and I think it's something that should be talked about. But for this, I brought myself back down to a bit rate, which is consistent. So anybody who's used to watching the channel should be able to watch this. So, okay, thank you, Johnny. All right, so we're gonna set up Kabji. So I'm gonna slightly adjust my plans. It's not gonna be an immediate choice, but the way that I've set it up right now is that each planet is sort of, it's following a little bit of a template. So we've got planetary administration, stronghold, research labs, alloy foundries, civilian industries, autothon monument, bureaucratic complex. And then because this is the capital, it got the Ministry of Culture. Now, as it happens, this is also going to be sort of an energy-focused planet because it has the most energy. Rurius Prime is going to be agriculture-focused once I get some kind of percent-based bonus for agriculture. And as it happens, I built the civilian industries here, which turned it into an industrial world. I'm slightly curious, too, what the upkeep for artisans are. I am tempted to switch this to a farming world, but right now it is advantageous to me to work with civil, or to have this be a little more efficient. But basically, I'm going to. This is going to be agriculture focused because it has the most. It's the breadbasket of the empire, basically. But the idea here is I want to start filing in some of the other advantages. So, for instance, when we hit 15, we're going to build that bureaucratic complex. As far as the colony is concerned, similar idea here. We built civilian industries right away because we were quite short on consumer goods. This one does have a slight edge on generator districts, and it certainly never hurts to have more energy. I might actually start taking advantage of some of the mining as well. But this one I want to start focusing on generating unity. And likewise with Kabji, I'm going to try and turn it into... I'm going to try and get the monument up before I build more civilian industries. But the idea is that in the absence of a more clear path, I'm going to try and make it so that the planets focus a little bit on going deeper with their buildings. So, for instance, there's one research lab on the capital, there's one alloy foundry on the capital, so on and so forth. Now, this will change once I start getting buildings that sort of help with the specialization, but the way that I'm going to deal with it is I'm going to slowly shift the production. So, for instance, if this planet winds up becoming sort of my factory world, then I'm going to switch out, this civilian industries to another kind of building, but that'll only happen after I build an equivalent civilian industries. Obviously, because there's so many pops, you need to make sure that you have enough people working the jobs that you create, otherwise you wind up not producing enough. So, anyways, not worth spending too much time thinking about that right now. I've already got my infrastructure in place for when we hit 5 pops, so I'm happy there. All right, AI-controlled colony ships. By giving control to the colony ship to artificial intelligence, the crew and colonists can be suspended in a deep sleep. So this will help me colonize Okul a little bit faster. My costs for science are starting to go up because of my empire sprawl. And again, colonizing these worlds, it is starting to cost me a little bit on that. I do want to start focusing on building some research on the other planets here, but I should be able to start absorbing some of those costs. The cheapest thing for me to get right now is actually not a bad piece of technology anyway. We're going to research basic combat roles, and as it happens, it has a computing specialization, so we've got a 92% bonus towards researching that. Also, I finally get to assign a new researcher. Okay, so Tupravis is like my best scientist, and he's already working on this archaeological site. I think what I want to do, because I don't have any archaeological sites in my borders at the moment, I'm going to get this science ship, and we're going to start seeing if we can start finding some choke points in the general area here. This is sort of like the last thing that's keeping me from sort of fully realizing a defensive system. So I'm not going to completely throw away the ship. I'm also going to take advantage of the opportunity to go exploring. But heading out to the edge here should give me a bit of an idea of what awaits us at the edge. I mean, if I have to, Sipolan is not the worst place for a choke point, but I feel like we should be able to expand a little bit better. Oh, and apparently I didn't get him to... Oh, well, it's because he's not as equipped for researching. How close are we to the Cybrix? 4 of 6. So I'd really like to investigate this anomaly, but at this point I kind of want to get an idea of what we're looking at for these regions and claim them first, and then I think this guy will double back and take care of this one. So the one thing to keep in mind, Johnny, is that the Titan is not like indestructible. I need to keep an eye on who I bully with this thing, but there are a lot of people I can bully with this. It's an awesome ship. So I think my expansion plans are going to be... There is something unusual, almost hypnotic about the soft undulations of the sea covering React 2, its motions matching no known projections for tidal behavior. So my plan with my colony ship right now is to basically seal up. What I might do is I might actually take this system right away, and then we sort of move in to claim the relic world. You're just going to ignore what you said and assume that it's indestructible. Always a fair call, Johnny. It dawned on me, whenever I do a late start, I always know there's a bit of a fall in the viewership. The big drawback right now, though, is I should have been more marketing oriented in how I did the title. I should have put Ancient Relics in, like, the very beginning. Well, you know what? I can adjust that right now.
Construction finalized.
There you go. Now the masses will show up. What do we build? We built science. The other advantage to this location, of course, is more access to volatile motes. We don't have the tech for that quite yet, but it'll be helpful. I also need to think a little bit about what my influence is going to get me. It's definitely going to take quite a bit for me to get to the relic world. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 300 something. We might, over the time that it takes us to build all of these, we might just be able to make it, but I want to make sure that I don't spend my influence on other things for the next little while. Unknown contact. The ISS Ersk Henschit crew has returned from their research mission, visibly shaken. They provide vague, often conflicting reports of what they encountered on React 2, though in one matter they are all united. The still-flowing sea that wraps pole to pole around the planet is somehow alive. Though it bears no organs or corporeality we can identify, the planetary ocean seems to communicate with frequencies that affect the brain activity of the recipient. It is able to induce thoughts, images, emotions, and what is more, affects each individual differently. It is entirely unknown what effects prolonged contact with the sea might have, or how safe such an endeavor would be. Science Officer Perek Toros requests a planetary decision to study the strange sea be enacted on React 2. So we can say we'll consider it, or we don't have time for this. Yep, let's consider it.
Situation log updated.
Okay, that didn't work. Oh, this is only if we colonize it. Okay, well, this will take us a while, so... Scientists gain a trait through hard work and experience. Scientist Jurg Vargas has developed new skills. And, oh, he created a custom AI assistant, so bonuses to research speed, survey speed, and anomaly research speed. Okay,
Scientific progress attained.
Doctrine Space Combat. Fleet combat limit plus 20. Gradual adaptation to the realities of deep space combat allows us to effectively coordinate larger maneuvers. So it's not bad. Obviously, having 50 command limit for the Grand Herald's fleet is helpful. The challenge, of course, is that I am really not inclined to build 20 more ships right now because they're a drop in the bucket on the quality. I do have destroyers now, though, so it is something I will consider doing, but I definitely want to get my expansion dealt with alloys first. Now, habitability is probably my first priority because it will help some of these colony worlds out a little bit. The global defense grid is a little bit more helpful now because of the fortress, but I don't have the volatile moats for it. So the atmospheric filtering is both the cheapest and the most beneficial. I also believe I have a scientist who's good at new worlds. Nope, that scientist who was good at new worlds was the one that died. So, never mind. Alright, let's take a look at what else we can do here.
System resources analyzed.
Miram. Okay, I'm curious. Okay, this one's gonna dodge the scary thing, so let's how about you survey that system like you were told? So this is the most tempting choke point out of all of them, but I may not have the influence to handle it. Archaeological site event pending. Okay, looks like we've got my A-team on it. So, hello, goodbye. By tracing weak energy trails, most likely left by spacefaring vessels, one particular asteroid in the cluster was signaled out. Closer inspection of the asteroid's surface asserted the theory of prior space traffic, as multiple signs of landing and takeoff was found on the rocky exterior. Sensors also indicate hollowed-out areas and tunnels within the asteroid, and the next step is to initiate an excavation to find out more. Keep digging! By tracing weak energy trails, most likely left by spacefaring. Yeah, we got that, sorry. And this is the popular rock. Sensors have detected energy readings in a cluster of asteroids. Further investigation is recommended. So this one's a difficulty 4. My character has skill 6. So in this case, we're basically adding something to all of our die rolls. We could potentially get this in, I think, 3 die rolls. It's very unlikely we will, but if we were to like roll 3 10s, we'd get the oh no, actually if it was 3 10s, we'd get it in 2. If it was all 10s, we'd get it in 2. Anyways, not worth thinking about. But yeah, this guy should be pretty good at getting stuff. So hopefully this will be a little bit faster than the last one. What else do I want? So we're working on our dig. The construction ship's on its way. Right, I want to make sure that this guy doesn't suffer a terrible fate.
System resources analyzed.
Ancient structure. We have detected some kind of utterly massive space installation drifting quietly on the edge of the Tisadore system. Although preliminary scans show it to be very old, the structure has an intense power signature. Several smaller structures are seen floating near the main installation, and all of them appear to be heavily armed. If we are to learn the true nature of this ancient relic, we will likely have to overpower its defenses through force of arms. That will not be easy.
Science vessel under attack.
Alright, well... Oh, he died! Okay, I actually feel a little bad about that. So the question is whether or not I want to build another science ship, or if I can live with the smaller, It was my level 1 scientist though, so we didn't lose that much. But I suppose I have my answer on the choke point now. If this is going to attack everything that comes into the region, then there's no way that we can, there's no way that we can move forward. Johnny, I could have 0 people, or sorry, you could be the only person watching my channel for the rest of my life, and I would always, he will be returned to the stone. Yeah, I could have nobody watch this channel for the rest of my life, and your reactions to events in this game would be enough to carry me through. Of course, with that in mind, I want all of you to sub and follow, and you know. I'm gonna have a sip of refreshment. I know I say this all the time, but if you ever do want to get into this game, I know you definitely like learning this stuff on your own, but if you ever want to do like a sit-down kind of co-op game, I would be happy to do something like that. You also know that I play the game quite slowly, so I play at a pace that is good for people to learn, but obviously, do not feel any obligation. I see that you were playing Battlefield 5 a little bit earlier, and it warmed my heart. Will you be doing the single-player campaigns? You'd be very quick to destroy almost everything. Hey, I'm not here to judge. There are fanatical purifiers in this game. Fanatical purifiers sounds like the sort of thing you'd be very good at, Johnny. Yeah, I should ask, well, on your new format, are you going to do any of the single-player missions for Battlefield 5? Because I definitely would like to see your reaction to the very first one. Well, like, not the prologue, but... Yeah, well, I know you're much better. I'll admit, I actually, of the multiplayer games that I have, I think Battlefield is my favorite. Although I never really got into Firestorm, but that's also because I never really tried it. But yeah, are you doing more Firestorm, or are you playing the traditional multiplayer? In the meantime, I'm a little curious, so it's going to cost me... That can't be right. Upgraded for negative? So I get the... Here follows the latest newsletter to our patrons. The Enclave is in a frisky mood. The creation of the Stellaris Rift has caused many an artist to change their primary focus to creating new experiences for it. So far, the most noteworthy to come out of this endeavor is an orchestral piece conveyed via scent. Our work continues, and any donations would be gladly accepted. So, 500 is kind of expensive given my reserves right now, but this is rather good for getting influence, which I need for expansion, so. Alright, so I'm very curious about how this works.
Construction finalized. Anomalous readings detected.
Atmospheric readings from MOA 2 do not match simulated projections. Upgrading to Cal Mordron. Okay, so that I don't want to have happen. So it looks like it's downgrading my... It looks like it's downgrading my ships in this case. So what I can do to fix this a little bit, we can enter orbit. I can split out this fleet. I can upgrade these guys for 236. I might as well do it. I don't feel good about it, but it's probably better that I keep this stuff in line. Okay, construction. We've built what we needed, so I'm going to head out, build a starbase. Nope, but I don't have enough alloys, so that was probably not an opportune time for me to do that, but that's fine. It's something that kind of needed to be done. Hello, Ed Baver. How you doing?
Detected.
Oh yeah, it's been a while since I played Team Fortress 2. I remember really liking it. Scans indicate the presence of a foreign alien-made object on one of Moa Va's many frozen mountaintops, so we'll research that. Again, the plan here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new bases. Not too bad. I have a little bit of a headache at Baver, and obviously I was slow to get the stream started, and it sort of, you always see a bit of a dip in the view count as resulting from something like that, but I don't know. I had a streamer who I really tried to be supportive of, and they were very obsessed with view counts, and to a point where they were also very unwelcoming to a certain point on... What was the construction? It was the minerals. So I try not to... I try to kind of just tune it out and use it more as a little bit of background noise. So the mountaintops, right up our alley. Johnny's never gonna let me get off brand. All right, so apparently I messed up on Ushiminaria. We've got... You know what? I'm gonna build another city district. I don't think I'm ready to remove the massive glaciers yet. A whiff of something. The ISS Irsk Hessent has recovered an elongated metal box from the surface of Moa 5A. Clusters of small perforations on the 5 sides lead science officer Perak Toros to believe that it is not a container, but some sort of aerosol dispersal device. Initial tests seem to confirm their suspicions, as trace aromatics still emanate from the object. A special project has been issued to confirm whether this might be an information-carrying device constructed by some alien race communicating primarily through the secretion and reception of atmosphere-borne chemical compounds, smells.
Situation log updated.
So, olfactory study. And apparently there's another anomaly that we ignored. I'll add that to the queue immediately after. They're ripping through this because they're level 6.
Special inquiry concluded.
The box is indeed a document of a sort. Science Officer Perak Toros admits that they have been hoping for a historical record of some kind of, or some kind of codex significant to whatever culture left it behind, but they were disappointed. The true nature of the aromatic box seems to be a collection of fairly short narratives which, going by the rapid changes in odor towards the end of each sequence, are intended to have to surprise or be interpreted as comedic. The techniques used to store and reproduce specific smells is of some interest, but the tales it tells are not. The crew of the ISS Irsk Hessent are left with the uncomfortable feeling that they have unwittingly become intimately familiar with what certain gaseous byproducts of alien digestion smell like. However, Perak Toros is unwilling to speculate as to why the box was dumped on this frozen hellscape of a planet. Interesting. Gain 100 experience and 350 social research. So we will... I'm going to prioritize the anomaly first. This is partly just because I wind up sort of abandoning anomalies quite a bit. Oh wow, these things are just ripping through my alloys. Alright, well... It's gonna halt my expansion a little bit, but I think I can live with it. So let's go building up some infrastructure while I wait. They are, and both of those are pretty solid. So I'll let you know how the deal is with those, Johnny. Both of those are good expansions. Utopia and Apocalypse are are sort of the big expansions for the game. The other ones are, well, Megacorps is the other big expansion, and then the others are the story packs, like what I'm playing right here, and those obviously lend themselves more towards they lend themselves more towards flavor rather than sort of like big headline structural changes to the game. Now, if you play multiplayer with someone, you use all of the DLC that the host has. And so if you are not sure if Stellaris is your sort of thing, and you know somebody who owns those expansions, you can sort of try before you buy by doing a multiplayer session with them. On the other hand, if you definitely think that you're one of these people who likes games like Stellaris, and obviously I think very highly of this game, now is a very good time to get... I think if there's a bit of a community consensus around the idea that if there is one essential expansion, it's Utopia, although for my part, you know, I've obviously played the game with each expansion as it comes out, and I think they're all great, so I might... I'm kind of on side with the Utopia crowd, but I think it might give a little bit less credit to some other very good DLC, which of course are the expansions. Okay. Immense ragged plains of shadow drift across Moa-Tu's face. They are cast not by clouds, but by sheets of organic material drifting through the upper layers of the atmosphere, hinged, or rather jointed, to allow for a small degree of articulation. Science Officer Perictoros is as yet unwilling to say whether these things are flora or fauna, or what possible purpose, if any, their elaborate shadow casting may serve. So shadow play...
Ships upgraded.
Okay, this is good. So let's combine the two fleets. We will not call it the Joint Expeditionary Fleet. We will go back to calling it the Grand Herald. Okay, and I have enough alloys now. As much as I wanted to make that physics research station, obviously the priority right now is to extend my my stations and my reach. Now, one thing that I should be focusing on is the upgrading of my starports. Obviously, I've got the population to support a few more of these. But unfortunately, I have a finite amount of alloys, and right now I do want to try locking down a couple more things. One, I want to get Okul if I can. Sensors pick up rhythmic movement on this hellish surface of Ceridon 2. So this will probably be another ripe candidate for colonization. It's an alpine world. Again, not a lot in terms of resources, but a decent size. And it is actually in a natural choke point. Or actually, as long as I'm defending this side, it is. And if I'm not defending this side, it isn't. But yeah, so what I might want to do is try and save up to build another colony on here. Although this will definitely make my Empire Sprawl go through the roof. So what I might try and do is sort of stake out the limits of my empire, and then we'll start focusing on the... That's true. So what Ed Baver's... sorry, you're talking about this planet? Are you looking at something that I'm not? Geothermal. The measured pounding observed from orbit is the motion of an immense and ancient geothermal extractor. Sorry, one second. Excuse me. Motion of the immense and ancient geothermal extractors, breathing their last. Built and then abandoned at some point in the distant past, the vast batteries of disintegrating machinery have been pluming up superheated fluids from the planet's core ever since. Their storage capacitors are all broken or leaking, but some energy can still be siphoned off in them. Hey, Ricky, how you doing? Alright, 1,000 energy credits, that's great news, and more engineering. One thing I also forgot to mention about Okul is it does have a dust desert. I believe that gives me moats. Yes, it gives me more moats. Oh, the High King Harrison Jones has died at the age of 86. What a shame. So, Ilmus Jones now now follows. They are an industrialist. So monthly minerals plus 10%, champion of the people plus 5%, and we have a new crown princess. Crown Princess Fawn Jones is new heir to our empire and will take the throne when our current ruler dies. So we've got a dwarf lady for our new ruler, and they're 20 years old. The crown prince, crown prince, not crown princess. They're deep connections, so influence plus 1 and reformer unity plus 10%. So that will be helpful. But for now, we're going to focus on improving our station. So more mining resources, more research, build out a starbase. And again, the plan is I'm going to move one up here. And I think I should actually think a little bit about the number of connections. So if I go up here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I go from here, it's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so one up here, and then move along the edges to Polygar. Obviously, I want nitrous. I'll probably fill in all the gaps by the end of this, but... I'm definitely going to need to make sure that I'm... Oh, we've got crime. Crime is a measure of the overall level of criminal activity and lawlessness on the planet. A high level of crime causes negative events to occur on the planet and may reduce stability. It is naturally caused by having a large planetary population and can be reduced by increasing pop happiness or employing enforcers. Okay, so this is purely a result of me having a difficult world. This is definitely one that I want to add to my... empire, and quickly.
Detected.
A small rectangular object on the surface of this planet is deflecting all scanning beams like a mirror. Our sensors are unable to determine its material composition. Alright, now as far as choke points are concerned, we can probably head out here. Oh, new events! Archaeological site event pending. Something has happened to one of the archaeological sites that we are currently excavating, so... Rise and shine. Getting inside the asteroid, the expedition has made quite a fascinating discovery. Abandoned cryopods, hundreds of thousands of them, lined vast, dug-out chambers. Each pod was opened and inactive, giving the impression that they had already fulfilled their purpose. The current theory is that the asteroid served as some kind of colonization shuttle, hurled through space towards some prosperous habitat. When in proximity to its destination, automated systems woke up the slumbering cargo, and they left the asteroid in short-distance spacecraft to get to their new home. Peculiar and 350 engineering research. Oh, that's the end of the excavation. Just 2 chapters. So the site's been fully excavated. I don't believe we have a new job yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take... Tupravis will be the one to handle the Polygar and possibly the Nitrous excavation. What I'm going to do here is... oh, you know what they can do instead? They can take care of this anomaly first. And probably by the time that this ship is done, we'll have some excavations for them to do. We have encountered some form of alien vessels in the Aldebaran system. These strange objects have been flagged as the Aldebaran until we can learn more about them. We should proceed with caution. Now, usually these enclaves...
means of production.
Usually these enclaves wind up translating before I do, so I'm not going to waste the social research on it. Actually, 6 months isn't a lot. What am I looking for? Yeah, I'll leave it for now. While conducting surface scans of Hanare 1, Science Officer Perek Toros and the crew of the ISS Ersk Hessent have discovered what appears to be an artificially covered slab of rock covered in alien writing. They have not detected any other signs of alien activity on the planet, and exactly how this mural came to be here is a mystery. We've prepared a special project to translate the text. So they've already sort of served their purpose through finding some of the choke points, so I'm okay letting them do some anomalies. I'm also going to survey what I hope will become my domain, and then we'll also get a quick peek on some of the other stuff in the area. Now, one of the main reasons why I upgraded my ships here, the Grand Herald, so they've got the tachyon sensors, so I can actually use this as a scout ship. Now, this is definitely overkill as far as a scout ship is concerned, but the Corvettes now also have better sensors as well, which was one of the main reasons why I followed through on that. All right, what were you up to? Right, they built another city district, and then I will build a Unity building when the time comes. We are a bit short on food. So obviously these guys still have one more job to do, but in this case I should be building more capacity for farms because we're already at the top. Now, there is one thing I can do to fix that and change this from an industrial world to something else. At the Endless Expanse, at first sight, there is only snow and ice on Aldebaran 2. Vast expanses of impenetrable white glass lakes and jagged turquoise glaciers against fiery orange skies torn open like a wound, pouring red into the seas as Aldebaran's stars set. If the world had an end, this would be it. Here the seas lie still and the snow untouched. The only sounds are the thunder
System
and ice
resources analyzed.
ice calving and the wind howling across the plains. Yet Aldebaran 2 was once someone's home. In the midst of the wide barren field, the large black metal framework of a steeple protrudes from the white masses. What forgotten secrets could be buried beneath the snow? It seems to be a bit of a low difficulty one as well.
Together we will build a brighter future.
Alright, lots of stuff happening. So, atmospheric filtering's up. This means habitability has gone up. I'm most interested in Kabji just because it is the most prone to crime at the moment. By adjusting the atmospheric filtering on a per-site basis to better filter out undesirable elements, colonial living conditions may be improved. If I feel the pinch in terms of food, I can always do gene crops, but I think in this case here, let's do adaptive bureaucracy. It will increase my leader pool size, and more importantly, it will reduce my leader costs, which are going to be going up because of my empire sprawl. And I think we might have a specialist for this. So Tupravis is... I'll let them do a little bit of work, but I think I'll switch them out when the time comes. Okay, so now I need to make some decisions in terms of what my next moves are.
Evading hostiles.
I gotta figure out where that... Actually, let's do that before we deal with the... We have encountered some form of alien vessels in the Jumla system. These strange objects have been flagged as the Theta Menace until we can learn more about them, and we should proceed with caution. So these are ancient mining drones. These I can live with, temporarily at least. We'll obviously smash them in just a moment. Okay, so I'm going to eliminate domination and supremacy as options right now, and this is just simply because I don't know... Oh, sorry, domination and diplomacy, and then supremacy for the same reason. We don't have anybody we can fight right now, and everything that we will fight is too strong for us anyway. So really it comes down to prosperity and harmony. Now, prosperity right off the bat is going to give a 10% bonus to mining station output. We'll get building upkeep or district upkeep, cost reduced, city district providing additional jobs, specialist output increased by 5%, build costs reduced, build speed improved, city districts providing additional housing. So I think the way I would go for this is we'd start with the output improvements. It's funny, this one used to give a bunch of like benefits to the cost of ships. I wonder if those have been, yeah, those have been added to supremacy. Let's just take a quick look at what, so my ships have to be like one of my largest, oh no, stations still are my largest expense. Good to know. So there is something of an argument to be said that, so my ship upkeep reduced by 10%. So that would net me another 3 energy a month. And then as far as alloys, not as much as I would like. Yeah, I think it's better for me to focus on infrastructure if I want to improve that. So, okay, Harmony will get me leader lifespan, reductions to food, and I'm definitely not fighting defensive wars. So at this point, it really does feel like prosperity is the only choice right now. So there's no better indicator of the success or failure of a star nation than the strength of its economy. And of course, we're dwarves, so we kind of have to go for that option. Now I think what I'll do is I'll study these things before I go and shoot them.
Special inquiry concluded.
I'm thinking of there's the enigmatic fortress here. I'm pretty sure that thing can destroy my Titan. Science Officer Perek Toros has managed to partially translate the alien mural discovered on Hanare 1. The text contains a staggering amount of data, and the mural evidently serves as some sort of low-tech library. It describes in broad terms the collected technological knowledge of an alien civilization that dominated this region of the galaxy some 80 million years ago. A lot of it is already known to us, but the data does contain several promising leads for technologies that we had yet to consider. There is enough data here to keep our scientists busy for decades, but we'll need an orbital research facility to continue the translation efforts. Oh, wow. So I do kind of want to put a base down there. Like I said, I'm probably going to have the limits of the Empire out here. Now, Riak apparently has now become habitable. I'm assuming that's due to the plus 5% on habitability that I just got. Oh, we've got an idle science ship, so let's fix that. I feel dumb doing this, but I kind of want to see what it looks like. I should be focusing a little bit more on the area that I'm looking at right now, just because it'll determine sort of my expansion efforts. Although it's kind of good to know
anomalous readings detected.
The mineral composition of Hanare 3A does not match projections. Oh, and apparently we've already got too many. Yeah, unsurprisingly, our dwarves have built too many minerals. Well, we've definitely got some things we can dump in there. So first of all, we're going to upgrade the reassembled ship shelter to a new, a shiny new headquarters. We're going to put down that Autothon monument, and while we're at it, let's focus on a couple of the other upgrades I've been meaning to build. So we'll put down the energy grid will give 1 technician job. So in this case, I would need 2 more. Oh no, yeah, I would still need 2 more generator districts. I gotta double check that. So this will take us up to 40. There will be 1 surplus job. We'll build the energy generator, so that's going to be 2 jobs. I only need 3, but I don't have any way of generating 3. So yes, this is what I want. Rurius. I'm already building an agriculture district. Maybe I'll build another one. Let me think about this. So we're gonna get to 15. I'm probably gonna, well, what am I gonna build? We've got the monument. Ah, yes, the bureaucracy. So bureaucracy will give us 2 administrator jobs. Okay. 2. I'll go for the last. Hello, the Eyes of Sin. I'm very happy to see you. I didn't see your message at 6. I actually was falling asleep and following through, but I hope you got a chance to do a little art. For those of you who do not know, The Eyes of Sin is the remarkably talented artist behind these delightful emotes. I will tell you a small story, and I hope that Sin's circumstances are not like this, but when I worked in film, I worked constantly to a point that I largely defined myself through my work in film, and then there was a strike and there was quite literally no work options. Remind you, you didn't do traditional art, but you wound up getting some photography in. Photography counts. So one of the things that happened during that period is I did not.
Together we will build a brighter future.
I did not quite appreciate how you have things to show me, and it was photography done. What kind of photography were you doing, Eyes of Sin? No, I suppose the best name for it would be depression, but basically I didn't really know what to do with myself, and I was feeling I was feeling really bad, and one of the things that I did to overcome that was I wrote and I wrote a screenplay, but I also wrote essays, and I wrote, you know, whatever kind of came to mind. And it was less about, so what eventually happened was, through writing, I found I really liked doing research for stuff, so I would go to the library a lot more. But really just the process of writing, even though knowing that nobody else would ever read that stuff, was something that sort of got me through a given day. And this is probably not the sort of thing that one can self-apply, but I have heard on occasion that I can, you know, I can put words together. I'm not too bad at the whole word thing. So I suppose where all of this is going is that I have always hoped that... So, like, one of the things about Sin is that she is able to do something... oh, on your walk. Okay. I've always kind of wished that I could draw like Sin. I used to draw a lot as a kid, and then I stopped. But I've always kind of hoped that people are able to find sort of an outlet like that, because I don't quite know what I would have done during that time if I didn't have something like... you know, if I didn't have something like writing. And I kind of hope that other people, whenever they're not feeling great, have an outlet like that too. That's why I always keep pushing people. It's like, just do something. Nobody has to see it. Just get it done. As space traffic increases, larger and more defensible star bases are needed to maintain control over system space lanes. Okay, so we've got lots of options here. The exotic gas refineries are very tempting because those are a pretty specialized good. The only real drawback is I don't have any within my borders. I've got basically everything but. On the other hand, it is... I think it's worth pursuing. Oh, actually, this just gets me the refinery. I don't think this allows me to just simply extract it. It is also one of the lower cost options, so I think I'm still going to go for this anyway. And I'm going to wait until I have a surplus at 2,500, or actually I guess I only need the 1,000. So yeah, I will clear one of these blockers. Leviathan down. Science Officer Perek Toros has found the source of the odd mineral readings. Hanare 3A is a metaphorical graveyard for gargantuan spaceships that have been resting here for millions of years. Perek Toros goes on and on in the debriefing about a profound sadness that the rockets are too broken down for even careful examination to yield results. At least the materials will be useful, and this gains a +2 alloy. And that will be within my borders, but that's probably going to be one I want to prioritize. Communications established, so let me just take a quick look where we're at. Oh yeah, looks like I picked the wrong one, so... we're receiving a transmission from the Independent Space Station of the Curator Order. It appears that they have successfully translated our language, so we gain 31 influence. Greetings, Star Travelers. We are the Curators. Our ancient order was established eons ago by the various galactic powers in ascendancy at the time. We were dedicated towards the preservation of all knowledge, in an effort to safeguard the galaxy from descending into yet another dark age of mass extinctions and barbarism. We failed. Few of us remain today, but we are no less committed to our sacred mission than our predecessors were. We are willing to share some of our knowledge with you for a price. Just 1 second. Okay, so I messed up that one. I wanted to research the Theta Menace, not the other. I am going to ask Sin about your walk. Where did you walk to? Because I remember you used to send me these really lovely Snapchats of you walking around town, and I always got to learn a little bit about... I don't know, I got to learn a little bit about the place that you lived in. Although I guess I used to send those to you about Ottawa as well. Yeah, Ed Baver, so I know there's multiple ways
System
of
resources
extracting
analyzed.
resources. There's the ones that you just take from like a planet-side resources, one where you convert from minerals, and then there's one which you can pull out of the planet. And I'm not 100% sure if it's 3 different techs, 2 different techs, or if it's... I don't think it's just the one. But one way or the other, it's, you know, it was the cheapest one, so in the end I didn't need to really worry. The thing that I always do with tech is that unless one of the other ones immediately screams at me that I need to pick it, I usually just wind up going for whatever the cheapest one is, because in the end it's the lowest cost to get a new draw from the deck. So that's where it comes down to. Oh, by the way, Isevsen, I'm gonna show you a tweet really quickly. What are you making? Where is it? Oh, Johnny, I didn't see your retweet. Thank you very much for that. Oh, that sounds lovely. I almost bought blueberries today, but there was like a little promotion for strawberries, so I got myself a pound of strawberries. I have not had a strawberry in so long. It was amazing. Alright, active matrices tuned for specific combat-centric tasks, greatly improve engagement efficiency. Of course, then I washed it down with like an island malt whiskey, so these things cancel each other out. One is like a very sweet, very lovely flavor. The other is very much not that. I think in this case I'm going to go for self-evolving logic because I'm enjoying more and more having the options. FTL inhibition is really nice to have, but it's, yeah, I think in this case it's better for me to go with one, my character has a specialization in it. Number 2, obviously it will improve the efficiency of my research through another means. what I need to work out actually, so the Eyes of Sin is uniquely talented at finding really good deals on things and living affordably. And Johnny Big Time is a very good cook. Actually, so is the Eyes of Sin. So I want them to set up a Patreon of basically, here's how you take care of yourself, you idiot. So that I can finally, like, eat right and, like, also be able to afford things. 18-ounce containers of blueberries were $3-ish at Trader Joe's, so you bought 2, 1 for topping with ice cream and 1 for cooking. I approve of this. In BC, we used to have a lot of blueberries. Actually, so one of the directors of photography that I used to work with had he had an apiary, and one of them lived next to a blueberry field, so he would have like different kinds of honey. He'd have like, there's like a dark honey, there was a light honey, and there was one that was from next to the blueberry field. And it wasn't like it was blueberry flavored honey, but you could completely taste the difference between all of them. And it was a little bit like, you know, tasting different beers or tasting different whiskeys or something like that. It was definitely, or like coffee. Is definitely really cool to be able to experience, first of all, like honey straight from somebody who had made it. But number 2, to be able to sort of be able to do these little taste tests and see them. And of course, it was super cheap. Like, it's cool to be able to support a friend like that, so. Johnny is trained properly in chefing. You just learned from Hispanic neighbors and your grandmother's hotel staff. Ooh, I haven't done Citrus Blossom. I guess citrus isn't really like a big Canadian thing. Ancient mining drones. Report of deep space drones in certain systems have been investigated. The drones appear to be the workers and custodians of an autonomous orbital mining operation established millennia ago, and then soon abandoned by all but the drones themselves, judging by the state of the processing equipment. The purpose is obvious enough, mining, but who it was that tasked them is not immediately apparent. What is obvious is that no shipment of minerals has been retrieved from the system in hundreds, if not thousands of years. They may be old drones, but they should be kept under close watch by the Akano High Kingdom.
Situation log updated.
Alright, so drone study, 26 months, eh? Let's just take a quick look and see, what am I giving up? Exotic gas refineries? I think I can live with that because I don't need the exotic gases right now, but those are going to help my research before too long. That's pretty much how most professional chefs learned as well, Sin. I'm sure you know plenty and you can teach. I still remember, by the way, whether you're a lurker or whether you're like a viewer who's participating in chat, has anybody not seen the Johnny Big Time 1 Tunyon clip? Because I definitely don't want to take too much time away from the cast, but this is definitely a clip that should be witnessed if you've not seen it. Pro trip: citrus season in California is mid to late fall into early to midwinter. You not? All right. I'm not gonna take too much time away from this, but I shouted out Johnny Big Time without showing his channel. Oh my god, he's hosting the best channel ever right now. Oh, and it's my anniversary. You need to stream, Johnny, so that I can do like the I can do my anniversary thing. All right. There's always time for the 1 Tunyon. By the way, last stream, you guys did some really wonderful you did some really wonderful clips. Thank you for that. No, that's not the one. I don't think that one has a name yet. I'll show you. It'll be really quick. Like I'm not going to take away completely from the game, but this is worth seeing. Where's monitor capture on this thing? Yeah. I think this might be off a little bit. So Johnny Big Time was kind enough to show some of his... oh, you know what? I'm going to have to turn the music down. Sorry. So yeah, Johnny Big Time brought a camera to work so he could show us how his work is. And here he was chopping onions. I learned a lot about cutting technique. And here is him doing his thing.
Yeah.
That's why we call it the one-tunyon. I still think that clip's very funny, but...
Anomalous readings detected.
While scanning the asteroid belt, our science team found some sort of irregularity. I'm glad. I'm always a little worried when I show that clip because I don't know if like other people will find it as funny as I do. All right. Knowledge in the wrong gripping appendages can be dangerous, but what can we do? We need the energy to keep the lights on. So aid in the research, that'll cost us 2,000, so can't afford it yet. Of course, we're prepared to offer you limited access to our extensive databanks for a period of 10 standard years. This should provide a significant boost to the research efforts of your planet-side science labs. We will require compensation for this service naturally, but I think you'll find that our prices are very reasonable. Johnny is an incredibly clippable streamer. Alright, so Rurius... We got the... Right, we were going to do the bureaucratic complex. Now this is going to hammer my... This is going to hammer my... my energy. It's also, incidentally, going to affect my ability to... so it's going to affect my food production a little bit because... This still counts as an industrial world for some reason. Okay, artisans 481506. Yeah. It's still better for me to keep this as an industrial world. Yeah, so the bureaucratic complex actually is going to provide 3 no, that's not true. It's 2 administrator jobs. So we've got 4, we'll have 6. I think we actually probably worked that out already. Okay, Old Alvania's finished its construction queue. We've got a new spot available, so we already know that we're building an energy grid. We've got 5 jobs available, so we're already taken care of up to 45, but all is well. Adrift. Among the asteroids surrounding M4956, we have discovered an alien ship adrift. It is not responding to our attempts to hail them. If this is due to being unable to interpret our signal or some other reason, we do not know. Science Officer Perek Toros recommends that we get a construction ship to tow it out of the debris field. If left untouched, it risks being crushed by the asteroids. A special project has been issued to save this ship and to investigate it. So let's go for intriguing. I don't have a lot of time on this one. It's 1080 days, and I need to get my construction ship in the area. So once they're done building the starbase, I'll do my best. You know what? It's probably better for me just to build a second construction ship at this point. Not my favorite use of alloys, but I think justifiable in the circumstances. Oh, I should probably get the music going again. Now, if I get really desperate, what I can wind up doing is selling off some minerals and buying up some alloys instead. I'd prefer not to do that, but it's sort of my outside option if things become too difficult.
System resources analyzed.
Okay, so it looks like we still have crime. I might want to consider building a local constabulary.
Complete.
Although I guess we have Okul now, so 1, 2, 3. Yeah, no, this'll count. Oh no, we'll wait until the planet's actually part of the it's a fully developed colony, and then I'll make them a sector. Hopefully that'll help out. Okay, so we should have a new construction ship. This one's for now just going to be dedicated to the research project, but I'm also going to get them building infrastructure. So I've got at least 3 that I want to build in this sector, and then probably what I'll do is find my choke points, and I'll move out to them first, and then I'll start filling in the gaps is probably the approach I'm going to take for this. So for instance, this is an area I would like to investigate more, but I know that nobody else is going to be able to survive the vault.
Anomalous readings detected.
Okay, I have no idea why these guys count as a rural world. Greetings, patron Ilmas II. We have recently been forced to scrap most of our technical equipment due to a major malfunction. Would the materials and scrap be of any use to you by any chance? So we can salvage the materials, 500 minerals, or we'll repair it for you, and we get influence. For me, the influence is the most important right now, so... There's significant scarring on the surface of this world in a pattern that cannot be natural. From orbit, the massive rifts look almost like writing. Okay, so these guys count as a rural world because I don't have anything else that I'm doing with them? The game definitely seems to be making some odd choices as far as these, so I'm going to make this an industrial world. Oh, apparently I screwed up. That's what happens if I make this one an industrial world. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why my consumer goods suddenly plummeted like that. You can. That's one of the new features of the patch. Oh wait, this was going to be the agricultural world. Cyberx refinery. Ancient debris from some kind of massive Cyberx refinery complex has been found in orbit on the gas giant Feldazir 3. Lingering energy traces suggest that it was destroyed by some kind of antimatter weapon.
Sitlog updated.
Where are you? What options do you get? Excellent question, Ed Baver. So the capital you can't change. You start with, so first of all, you can always automate it. You can start with, so you get colony, population growth, speed, and happiness. Urban world, which will give you lower costs to city districts and higher speeds for building city districts. Mining world, so this will improve the speed with which mining districts are built and improve the output of miners. Agri world, same thing with agriculture and farmer output. Generator world, similar idea with generator districts and technician output. Forge world will make you build foundries faster and reduce their upkeep, whereas industrial worlds will improve the factory build speed and decrease artisan upkeep. Refinery world, so this will be refiners, transducers, chemists, chemical plant. So basically all of these like the specialized buildings we were talking about, those get lower costs. Tech world is a research lab bonus. Fortress World will give you bonuses towards defensive armies and also sort of penalties to the opponent in terms of their bombardment. And then the Rural World basically gives you bonuses on extracting base resources. So it's basically a flat 5% to all of your resources. So for instance, one way I might want to rebuild my Emperor. Right now I've already got the Agri World down there, so what I might want to do is might want to move the civilian industries off of Rurius completely and instead put them on Minaria. Because it's obviously better suited as an industrial world. One of the things I have been avoiding is building too many, like multiples of any one building on one world right now. But eventually I'm going to switch into that once I actually get better specialized buildings. I don't believe there is a delay, and I'm assuming that's because obviously there's no the ticking over for the resources. Like you get your resources at the end of the month, and so I don't necessarily think there's any benefit to switching them around month by month. Someone used a mining laser from orbit approximately 5,000 years ago to carve a large body of writing into the surface of Rim C2. The massive script covers a large portion of the planet's upper hemisphere and appears to be a short story chronicling the difficult life of an alien mercenary. I would have put profanity. How long until 821 days? We still have a year. What's it going to cost me to upgrade these? I always need to pull this guy out, so...
Construction complete.
They cost 18. Alright, looks like we've got a surplus of minerals again, so time for me to make irresponsible choices. Starting with generators, farming districts. I am kind of tempted to build more generators here, but I won't. Our colony's still building. Thing is, do I really want this to be a mining world? We've got definitely enough to... So 6, 5, so 11. We could almost completely cover this. But of course the drawback is then we wouldn't have any space for the remaining districts. So I feel like mining is more important than agriculture right now. I'll build one.
Anomalous readings detected.
Scanners indicate the sandy dunes of Isopane 4 are almost entirely composed of granulate rare metals. Perhaps some valuable resources could be extracted from them.
Planetary worksite established.
Okay, so a couple things we're going to do. Number one, Kabji is going to get a new sector. Uh-oh. I believe the frontier sector should have been... I was thinking that these guys would have... Can I disband the sector or delete the sector? This will delete sectors, any resources in local stockpile. Okay, so let's... I'm going to delete this for now, and this is just so I want the frontier sector to work out. 1, 2, 3, 4. What it likely has to happen is I need to fill in these two gaps. So, hello Melemony, thank you very much for lurking. How have your Stellaris strats improved over time? Alright, this would be a good energy world. They also have crystals. So it's a bit out of the way, but it is really worthwhile. So much so that I'm debating as to whether or not I want a colony here or a colony here. I guess I could build both. Yeah, I'm not 100% on the nature of the adjustments. I don't think it's as granular as it used to be, but it definitely seems like you get to opt people into sectors now. So the ISS Ersk Hensent crew is excited to report on an unanticipated find on the surface of Alsapone 4. Not only are the plentiful sand dunes on the planet composed of rare metal granulate, the sand itself is almost entirely composed of countless broken nanites. These microscopic machines are millions of years old, their structure degraded far beyond any chance of reactivation. While we cannot determine the source of origin for these nanomachines, the society that created them must have been highly technologically advanced. Science Officer ISS Ersk Hensett postulates that the nanites may have been used to terraform the surface of Isopane 4 millions of years ago. So more mineral resources and 250 engineering research. And they're almost done the Cybrex refinery. That means there's only one more artifact that we need to get.
System resources analyzed.
Okay. All of this is turning out.
Special inquiry concluded.
Archaeological project completed. Evidence has been found indicating that the Cybrex were mining helium-3 from Feldazir 3, using their orbital complex to refine the gas before distributing it as fuel to their roving space fleets. Interestingly, the energy signature on the antimatter weapon that destroyed the facility is distinctly Cybrex in origin. Why would they destroy their own refinery? Alright, so we gotta find something for this guy to do now. He's gonna be doing these archaeological projects, so what I'd like to get done right now... Oh, interesting. That's... good and bad, actually, because I kind of thought this was the only arm... Like, I thought this was the only path to this arm, and that turns out that that's not true. I'd still take these resources anyway. That's interesting that that's the fastest path to it, though. Well, you know, we might as well. So let's realign this guy's orders. So again, the mission on this one is to find a good choke point for defenses. I think... knowing what I know now, if I wanted to get really bold with it, one here and probably something like one here. I don't think I have the alloys for it, but the dwarves can dream, right? This is definitely a very leisurely pace to my target, but... what degree of management can be done beyond the last iteration? Oh, okay, yeah. No, I kind of get where you're coming from with that, Ed Baver. See, for me, like, I liked the old sector system because I could work well with those kinds of things. But I also kind of appreciate that I think most players found sectors to be confusing and not very fun to implement in the game. And so, sort of acknowledging that I was in the minority on that, by the way, it looks like there was a Bob 23 that followed that I didn't acknowledge. I don't know if that was recent, though. Yeah, I mean, if I could, I'd always want, like, the perfect choke point. But what I'm really focused on right now is, like, what can I set up as sort of self-contained. So for instance, I've got a natural boundary with the Dreadnought right now. So in this case, I don't need to build the choke point. What I'm kind of focused on right now is I have only a starbase capacity of 5, and I'm going to be trying to sort of hold down the fort on quite a few. So for instance, like, we'll say there's one here. one, let's say on Craxima. I'd probably have to put one, for the sake of argument, let's say... Ooh, it'd have to be Kildatha, actually. Nope, even Kildatha's not a good one. Yeah, this might actually be a little harder to lock down than I thought. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I basically got all of my... I've actually got my existing starbase capacity plus 1 already accounted for. Mining drone work ethic. The drones are remarkably efficient at squeezing ever-diminishing returns from the rocks Econo miners would have soon discarded, deemed exhausted of all worthwhile mineral content. Our top engineers are working on adapting the drone's methodology for use in the Econo High Kingdom's mining networks and stations, which should improve efficiency, effectively lessening the energy expenditure. Of lesser import is the fact that the drones are not completely silent. Contrary to previous assumptions, they emit signal pings, though extremely infrequently and at a wavelength that is hard to isolate from the background noise. If there is anyone left to receive these pings, it may be a mystery left for another time. So we can say easy prey and we get a damage bonus, or fascinating automata and we get a... So this is kind of funny, like 33% damage bonus is nice and all, but I'm not really that worried about them. So I feel like mineral output is the higher priority. Anyways, these guys are in my way, so let's get rid of them. Watch my all these values go through the floor. Esteemed High Queen Ilmas II, a decade ago the Econo High Kingdom pledged support to the artisan troop, and so you have. The time of your patronage is coming to an end, but we would be remiss not to ask, would you care to renew your subscription to the finest arts and crafts in the galaxy? So this is now going to empty my treasury. I think I'll go for it once more. But I'm likely not going to be able to afford it. And there is an argument for me to switch to the curators after a while.
Construction finalized.
Okay, decision time as far as what I want to do with this colony. So build. God, it's kind of hard to pick.
Special inquiry complete.
We'll do energy. Once the ship drifting by M4956 has been towed out of the debris, we could send in an away team to investigate. It is a murder scene. Only one crew member has been found, a long-eared amphibian biped who appears to have been stabbed repeatedly. The ship is, by the death of its crew, up for grabs. It is fitted with very efficient thrusters, the structure and design of which are beyond us at the present. The vessel is not armed, seemingly having been used as a transport for important personnel. Repurposing it into an exploration vessel would be a minor undertaking. However, if we instead deconstruct it and study its engines in greater detail, we could maybe capture some of its genius and translate it into practical improvements for our fleets. So I'm not really shy. We've already got 3 science ships. I used to have 4. I feel though like a permanent modifier of sublight speed of plus 10% is better than just getting an immediate science class ship, so we'll tear it down and study the engines.
System resources analyzed.
We briefly detected some unusual energy readings emanating from this planet. It might have been a glitch in our systems, or it could be a sign of something more. Okay, so this construction ship has now done its primary task. So let's start by getting this guy working on the research station. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to do sort of parallel expansion. Now this is a little tricky because it is going to wind up costing me more alloys, and more alloys are something that I haven't...
System resources analyzed.
I don't really have a good way of generating more right now. A colossal impact crater hints that something big collided with the surface of this planet once. So... the thing is that I really feel like I'm behind technologically.
Our research has progressed.
The progress we make calls for a new, nimbler form of administration that may aid rather than hinder us in our pursuits. So, gene clinics. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to do genetic healthcare. I feel bad about it, but... okay, Bunkerbot. We have traced the unusual electromagnetic radiation emanating from Rim B3 to a secret subterranean bunker hiding a megacomputer the size of a battleship. Our researchers suspect that may have been here for several thousand years, hard at work solving a single very complex problem, the nature of which still eludes us. When the crew attempted to interact with the computer, they discovered that the facility, which had appeared both abandoned and unguarded, was in fact operated by a security AI, the highest purpose of which seems to be frying its visitors alive. As the crew defeated the AI, it broadcasted a message to an unknown recipient. So we can scrap it for computer parts, 100 alloys, 50 crystals, and 50 motes. We can use it to boast our own research, so we'll get the Bunkerbot modifier for 10 years. Just for engineering research, or let it continue its mysterious calculations. We had better not disturb it. Whatever the problem computer was trying to solve, it seems important. Yeah, let's get it to boost our own research. It would be kind of neat to see what happens if I let it continue calculating, but... A massive crater on Ulufladis 4 appears to be the result of a collision of with a starship. From the size of the crater, we suspect that a ship exiting a hyperlane at maximum velocity rammed the planet for reasons unknown roughly 10,000 years ago. The ISS Irsk Hessent has picked up a residual subspace echoes near the crash site reminiscent of a collapsed hyperparticulate field. But the ship itself disintegrated on impact. As the ship itself disintegrated on impact, the theory cannot be verified, with more physics to show for it.
Construction
So
complete.
obviously I've got big consumer goods problems. One of the ways that so obviously building more consumer goods factories is the best option. The problem is I may not actually be able to arrest the demand until after I need it.
Construction complete.
I would also like to colonize this world before too long. But probably this one more. I am also curious with the stronghold if the soldier does anything to reduce crime. I don't think it does. Oh, nope, it absolutely does. Oh, but that's an enforcer. Hang on. Right. So as soon as I upgrade the colony, there will be less lawlessness. Okay. I can live with this. I do need to find a solution to the consumer goods problem, though. I am slightly curious what my trade value is at. Actually, I don't think there's any way for me to find out exactly what my trade value is. So I'm generating 930 from trade right now. If I wanted, I could change it to a civilian economy. No, that wouldn't work. So consumer benefits. You know what? I think I am gonna switch to consumer benefits just to staunch the bleeding a little bit. Do you wish to change policy to consumer benefits within our empire? We will not be able to change this stance for 10 years. The policy will have these effects. Profits and taxes must take second place to improving the lives of our citizens. We should focus on our trade efforts towards the manufacture and distribution of everyday necessities. So the drawback here is that I'll be getting less energy from trade, but hopefully that will be offset through the generation of energy through other means. Alright, we briefly detected some unusual energy readings emanating from this planet. It might have been a glitch in our systems, but it could be a sign of something more, so we'll hit the research there. We have encountered some form of alien vessels on the Zoldor system. These strange objects have been flagged as the Zoldors until we can learn more about them. So another enclave. I think in this case I'm okay to... We might actually be able to get in touch in time, so... So as far as choke points are concerned, obviously, to what Ed Baver was saying earlier, environmental effects nebulae block outside sensors from being able to see into their systems. Oh, neat! So we could park like an entire fleet here and nobody would be able to see it. Alright, the research grants edict affecting our empire has expired. Now, I would love to renew that, but I feel like, well, we could probably afford it, but the problem is I'm probably going to be able to get less expansion than I wanted. I feel like boosting research is still the right call, though. A microsingularity recently intersected Ljiz 2, passing straight through the core and emerging on the other side of the planet. The encounter does not seem to have caused any permanent damage, but has altered the energy output of the planetary core slightly in a way that defies our current scientific models. Further study may be warranted. Fascinating.
Hostile reactionaries engaged.
Alright, this'll be fun. I know you're all here for the combat, so... Let's watch the Titan do its thing. And hopefully these other guys don't die. Well, the base is taken care of. Yeah, so my Corvette's definitely got it in the throat. I think that's one of ours. Pretty sure we just lost 2 ships out of this. That guy just had a really bad day.
Anomalous readings detected.
Sorry, just 1 second. Alright, we briefly detected some unusual energy readings emanating from this moon. It might have been a glitch in our systems, or it could be a sign of something more. So, I mean, part of what I ran into here in terms of my losses... Wow, I did not expect us to lose that many. I suppose it makes sense, because this would normally be a fleet well above what I could normally handle, but I probably should have thought about the costs of that. Okay, I'm going to slowly shuffle some of these corvettes in, but it's definitely going to be a slow run.
System resources analyzed.
There is actually an argument in a case like that for me to just send the the Titan in and nothing else. The corvettes are helpful as screening ships, but I don't really think the Titan has anything to fear from the mining drones because of the shields that it has, whereas my existing ships don't really have any shields, and this is just because I haven't researched that tech. So these guys were actually the weakest possible target for the mining drones, and I wasn't really well, like, I kind of had a suspicion there would be casualties. I just didn't think there would be that many. Okay, I don't really like doing this. I just got to think if there's anything else I can do with my minerals. Oh, I know what I can do. I can go to the sector manager. And we can make a stockpile. There we go, it's a bank. Okay, map the stars is lost, that's fine. 7 corvettes lost is less fine. And again, I'll build those corvettes one by one. I just don't want to go too... I don't want to go too crazy with it because I also need these alloys for expansion. It's almost certainly that we will have incorporated this planet into our systems before this ship gets there in time. Oh, this is why everything's taking so long. I'm just trying to think who's available to do the debris. You know what? I hate to do this, but...
Special inquiry concluded.
After successfully translating their language, we have established communications with the independent space station known as ZeroCorp. Welcome to ZeroCorp. We are a business conglomerate operating out of the Zoidor system, specializing in trade, the very building blocks of civilization, as we like to say here at ZeroCorp. Please do not hesitate to contact us if you're interested in making a good deal. Well met. Okay, so what we're going to do, we'll research the project,
finalized.
survey, and then we'll get them back on track. Magnetic reversal. The magnetic field of MIRST 1A experienced a complete reversal while it was being observed by the ISS Ersk-Hessent. This rare event has interchanged the positions of the moon's magnetic poles. Fortunately, it was all recorded by the sensors of our ship, providing our scientists with a lot of valuable data. Intriguing. Okay. So...
Construction finalized. Anomalous readings detected.
There are signs of activity by an ancient precursor civilization on this inhospitable rock. So this will take him some time, but the benefit is that I'll get my last Cybrex artifact, which is pretty important to me. Hello, Total Warhound. How are you doing? Thanks for stopping by.
System resources analyzed.
So this colony ship, or this construction ship, is basically finishing its purpose right now. Going to take Poligar. Nitris is going to be the next location because the other archaeological site, and at this point, Wexilia makes as much sense as any to go to next, just so I can plug up that gap. After that, I think I should probably close off some of these. It would be nice to expand south if I can, but again, realizing this is space and south doesn't really mean a whole lot. Hey, tall man alive, I'm glad to hear. Good to see you too. It'd be nice to sort of figure out a proper choke point that's not like Aphris or something like that. Or actually, I guess it'd be Trax. But there may not be one. Like we sort of originally we thought this was going to be the only bridge to the second arm, but it turns out they've gotten a little bit better at making these borders a little more porous. It's weird. I don't normally like doing big snaky areas like this, but the fact of the matter is like once I have this and like this taken care of, this is actually in line with roughly how like the penalty. Oh, I guess the few. Like there's a couple clusters of like 3 stars in each of these that are like things that give me penalties, but by and large, this is largely the way that a set of systems should look. I will build the civilian industries first. I hate to do it, but I think I have to. Okay, so we've got administrative operations for building upkeep and district upkeep, or, in this case, I think standard construction techniques is the stronger one for me to go with first, and this is just because I am still in a growth phase and I know I'm going to be building 2 more colonies. So, standard construction templates. As technology advances and becomes ever more complex, new demands are placed on our workforce. By using standardized construction templates, our workers can build things without necessarily having to understand the finer points. The effect, buildings and districts have their build cost reduced by 10% and the build speed increased by 25%. So this will eventually give me access to Public Works Division to improve housing. I'm probably not going to go for that right away because I don't have housing problems, but I will likely consider administrative operations next because obviously getting a reduction to costs is always good. Well over it. I have got an administrative capacity of 50, and I have an empire sprawl of 102. I'm also going to be adding 2 new colonies, so I suspect it'll be something like... I wouldn't be surprised if we hit 120, 30 by the end of the stream. I mean, we don't have that much longer on the stream, but given the fact that I'm going to be building up some more districts and whatnot, it wouldn't be surprising, let's say. I'll try filing in another Corvette right now, but again, I really need to mind my resources here because I now have 2 construction ships that are doing work, and it's fairly important work. The one thing I'm a little annoyed with myself for is I would like it, if I could, to have some more alloy foundries down. Because again, we've done 1 of each type of building. I'm completely fine with how that's set up. But we're obviously behind on building more research and building more, building more bureaucratic buildings. And unfortunately, this is just this is just because
anomalous readings detected.
It's the growth we've got. We need consumer goods. So, glowing webs of unknown origin periodically illuminate the surface of something. Ancient Cybrex base, the hostile and unforgiving world of Tybor II, was home to what once appears to have been a large Cybrex base. Nothing remains of it now, aside from the scattered debris and a large crater. We will have to investigate the site of the base more closely if we are to learn more.
Sith log updated.
So, glowing webs of an unknown origin periodically illuminate the surface of Jumla 5. So, again, this is my all-star researcher, but as cool as the excavation is, this will be the last of the Cybrix story, so... Yeah, it looks like we're down to double digits for alloys, so I think I need to take my foot off the gas for a little bit in terms of building a fleet. Again, we've got a Titan. I wasn't expecting to have a Titan this early, so I don't need to prioritize too much. Oh! Okay. I thought that was a skull, not a... So what I think I might wind up doing once we deal with Cybrix base, if we incorporate this archaeological site in our borders, I might just let this guy beeline to it and let one of the other ships check stuff out. So Life Electric. Science Officer Raed Mikon reports that Jumla 5 is covered in pole-to-pole in a web-like network of electric impulses. These networks respond to external stimulus. The ISS JAL Wadon experimented with sending a low-voltage pulse onto the surface, resulting in a wave of illumination that rippled through the network like a circuit board. Even more remarkable, the webs rearranged themselves. A secondary pulse revealed that the filaments had organized into a new pattern centered around where the previous pulse had contacted the surface on Jumla 5. Raed Mikon concludes that the discovery has confirmed her long-held theory that life can exist in an almost purely purely as electrical impulses, independent of cellular or vital structure. Skill level is improved, and we get fancy social...
Construction complete.
Here follows the latest newsletter to all our patrons. We have abandoned the attempts to create scent-centered media. It was a foolish idea and has brought nothing but wasted time and unpleasant odors. In order to find our way back again, we will need donations from our trusted patrons. We thank you for our continued support. So we can empty our treasury again for influence we cannot afford or unsubscribe. I can't afford right now just because, I mean, they already like me enough, and I'm okay for influence. Energy credits is the higher priority for me right now.
System resources analyzed.
Okay, so we're not going to be able to do much with these. It's tropical and a desert world, so these are not obscenely high priorities at the moment. If they were in the way of other more valuable construction, I would probably want to clear them out, but for now I think we're just gonna sit on it. How are you going? Alright.
Construction finalized.
Cybrix is almost done. I don't remember what Kabji was building, but I bet it was important. Okay, now apparently I made a mistake. Apparently I made a mistake in terms of the workload, because we've got five pops right now. We've got 4 available jobs, and I want to build up to a point where we're able to get to slot 10. So for this
Special
one,
inquiry concluded.
I think against my better judgment, I'm actually going to put down a generator district. We found debris on Tybor 2 from a large ship that does not appear to have been of Cybrix origin in the crater that was once the site of their base. Our archaeologists speculate that the ship belonged to one of the organic civilizations under Cybrix attack. If so, it may have been sent to collide with the base on some kind of suicide run. No other explanation for the destruction of the base has been found. 3 minor artifacts found. Oh, that's right, I need to start distributing those again. Cybrix artifact recovered and engineering research gained. Okay, so before we go too far, let's take a minute and say... It's a tough call if I want this to be mining or energy focused. I'll build another mining district. Well, nah, you know what? I don't actually need it right now, but another city district. I've wound up building 2 on all the other planets, so I might as well just get that out of the way now. These other planets, though, are good. So essentially all that I was doing here is making sure that I have enough people to handle the next available job. We'll also be able to upgrade the planetary administration, so we'll be in fairly good shape. Alright, I'm going to start building infrastructure right away. We found the Cybrix artifact. Now, it does make me a little sad that we're not exploring all of these areas, but clearly the archaeological sites give some pretty powerful bonuses in some cases, so we will carry on. The Grand Herald has been fully repaired. After intense study of our recovered Cybrix artifact, scientists on Old Alvania have managed to deduce the exact galactic coordinates of a system the ancient machines referred to as Cybrix Prime, possibly where their civilization retreated after their abortive attempt to exterminate all sapient organic life. We should launch an expedition to the system before somebody else beats us to it. Contact the nearest science ship.
Sith log updated.
Alright, where is it? What would I do if I got a second Titan? I would probably be fist pumping for the rest of the night, and we would get nothing else done. Okay, so this is convenient because we were already gonna make we're already gonna sort of seal our way off to this area, so this is good news. Looks like we're back on track with consumer goods, at least for a little while. But I do feel like probably what's going to wind up happening, I think I am going to start, I think I'm going to start sort of shuffling around some of my industry. So we'll build a bureaucracy. I can definitely see like a bureaucracy and a stronghold. I mean, maybe a research center too. But yeah, I think what's going to happen is I'm going to start putting all of the civilian industries on this planet once sort of my core buildings are down. And then what I'll maybe start doing is once I start getting some more specialized worlds, we'll shift from certain buildings into the. I should maybe explain a little bit better. At first glance, this moon does not seem capable of supporting living beings, but nevertheless, we have detected life signs emanating from somewhere beneath the frozen surface. So right now, I'm kind of trying to build all of my planets a bit like my capital world, which is having one of everything. Now, obviously, it makes sense to specialize because of these planetary bonuses. But the problem is that beyond the individual planetary bonuses, I don't have a lot of the buildings that wind up giving you these ridiculous sort of bonuses on their own. And obviously, my planets are not having enough population growth to really make that a viable strategy on its own. So my second best is going to be to sort of find the worlds that are going to become sort of primary industrial centers and sort of incentivize growth. So here, I'm going to do the encourage planetary growth modifier, and this is partly just so I can move us up to the next tier. Also, it turns out that we're at population 12, we'll hit 13, but I still need to find another thing for my people to work on. In this case, we'll get them to work on energy. An ocean beneath the ice. Deep scans of Joomla 6A have revealed a large ocean heated by hydrothermal vents beneath the ice mantle covering the surface. Science officer Raould Maikon dispatched probes from the ISS Jalwadon that drifted through several miles of thick ice and found the water below teeming with what appears to be life. We will need more resources to conduct a thorough study of the many unique life forms inhabiting this ocean.
Situation log updated.
I can work with that. I believe, by the way, Ed Baver, we are, for this particular planet, we are looking for the Rubricator. Okay, tough call as to whether or not I want to... I think I'm going to wait until I have a little bit more in terms of alloys. Oh no. That's what he gets for trying to take a shortcut. Still, good data in terms of what the region sort of looks like. It would seem that Cybrex reevaluated their galactic crusade against organic life at some point during its 17th year. Whether this change was prompted by losses on the battlefield or an ideological shift in their network consensus, we may never know, but for whatever reason, the Cybrex decided to halt their campaign. They began a slow withdrawal that lasted for nearly a century, until they eventually vanished completely. We now know that they retreated to this system, where they had constructed a massive ring world designed to house their entire civilization. They isolated themselves here for several millennia until an independent explorer chanced upon their system and spread its location to the rest of the galaxy. The news that the dreaded Cybrex had been found again prompted several neighboring powers to organize a massive military expedition which bombarded the Cybrex ring world into rubble. Strangely, the Cybrex seemed to have offered no resistance whatsoever. And here it is. Oh, I think I just got an achievement. Okay, so new tradition first of all. So again, we weren't going to go for the Public Works Division yet, so we get Administrative Operations. As our empire continues to grow, eliminating corruption and inefficiency is of critical importance. These credit drains must be plugged. Building upkeep and district upkeep reduced by 10%. That's obviously going to just be an energy benefit to me, but still, not bad at all. And relic activation available, so this will obviously be super cool. So Cybrex Warforge, activation cost 150 influence. The robot upkeep minus 10%. Active effects. Oh, sorry, active effect. Okay, so if we activate it, Cybrex Warforge modifier added for 120 months, giving the following effects: pop assembly speed plus 50%, relic activation cooldown 360. So you're definitely you're waiting a bit. Yeah, it seemed. Now I suspect that this is the big problem. Is I'm assuming that this is like robot pops, so I don't immediately have a use for this, but a relatively small and portable warforge, the last of its kind in its universe. It is a relic from a time when the Cybrex made war upon the galaxy before their adjustment made them change their ways. The forge's ability to produce war machines has been permanently disabled by the Cybrex, but it fed a blueprint. It still has the capacity. If fed a blueprint, it still has the capacity to build complex robots at a rapid pace. Also, if I have 50 minor relics, I can do the special project, delve into the secrets of the Cybrex, delve deeper into the secrets of the Cybrex. So originally what I was going to do was restore the modifier on the capital, but I feel like I want to see what this large artifact project is. So we'll wait. This poor ship's going to be taking its time.
Scientific progress attained.
Gene clinics. The colonization of alien worlds has opened up an entirely new field of biomedical research. So that probably won't be... the administrative capacity is probably my... Yeah, that's my top priority right now. So, colonial bureaucracy. This will hopefully help with some of my penalties from Empire Sprawl. So museum exhibits is definitely tempting because it only costs 2. What does it give me? So yeah, so like 10 years I get a bonus to culture worker. See, yeah, I'm doing it. I've got 5 culture workers here. 2 is just so trivial.
Our research has progressed.
As for the others, they don't quite have enough cultural workers to justify it, but... Okay. Exotic gas refining. Exotic gas can be produced artificially, but it is a difficult process that requires advanced refinery equipment. Now, I was not originally going to be worrying so much... Oh. Nope, this is still producing synthetics. I need to be able to extract this from space. So I was originally not going to put too much in terms of robotic workers, but obviously now that I've got that Cybrix machine, that's a pretty big bonus for me to be getting. So I think in this case, robotic workers make sense. Or does it actually? Because a lot of the jobs I have right now are more specialized. It's still my cheapest option, so robotic workers. So in Old Elvania, like, it's all technicians, so it probably wouldn't be well suited on that planet. Rurius definitely makes a lot of sense because I'll be able to fill up those farmer jobs. This planet, if it does anything, it's not robot work. This one...
Construction finalized.
I mean, I could mine it. I suppose what I do in that case...
Inquiry concluded.
The ones that become... the ones that do get robots will be ones that... I probably focus more on, like, minerals and food for the short run. Okay. Science special project completed. Science officer Rald Mikon has returned from the expedition that studied the rich biosphere in the seas beneath the ice mantle of Jumla 6A. Our underwater probes have mapped the terrain and cataloged most of the life forms. Although this data may have been of some use to our biologists, no particular discoveries have been made that would have any applications beyond that. So, just experience. Looks like they've gained another level. I think they're still not at the cap though, so I'm happy to have them carry on in the way that they have. I would have loved to have... Actually, you know what? I think I can afford another quick Corvette. So I'm trying to restore the 7 that I lost. We've got 2. We'll get a small reduction in costs, so... I'm just writing myself an IOU.
Anomalous readings detected.
The emission spectra of Jumla 4 suggests that gas giant's primary composition had some molecular structure, the same molecular structure as a popular inebriant. Okay, so IOU
Construction finalized.
For Corvettes. Just trying to think if there's anything else I need to do right now. Not really, so we will speed things up. By the way, if I get to 4K, I will... I'm going to have a chat with the curator.
Construction complete.
Is more consistency with what I already had. So, Taste of Home. A closer study of Jumla 4 has revealed that the planet's primary chemical composition is in fact identical to an ester found in berries on Old Elvania, which the locals have been distilling into inebriants for thousands of years. The esters so prevalent on Jumla 4, it likely comes from the nebula that cloaks the system, which contains billions of liters of the same substance. Science officer Rald Mikon has secured several samples of this familiar ester, and after a rigorous biohazard testing, even sampled it, describing the scent and taste as a little bit of home in the chill of the void. The crew of the ISS Jalwadon suggests that such an exotic variant of a well-known Akano beverage would be quite popular amongst our citizens. So yeah, like restoring it to the old... So like the original idea was, it was what I originally had. It builds me the foundation of the set of destroyers that I would build. So usually as my default fleets, in the absence of any other priorities, I basically I evenly distribute the fleet or the number of fleet slots. So once upon a time, I only had 30 available. So it's like, okay, if I have 14 corvettes, that means I can build 7 destroyers, and then I have room left over for 2, and then I can decide if I want to build 2 more corvettes or another destroyer, or just leave that open. Now, obviously, the cap is improved to 50, and I can actually support 50. But of course, if I do that, that also means that I need to pay the maintenance and the alloys for them. So essentially, I'm going back to my old default of 14, because I know at some point I'm definitely going to have 7 destroyers. And what I can probably do at that point as well is peel off the Titan, so that if I need screening ships, I can add them on again. But I have a slightly more viable home fleet, you know, that doesn't die to the ancient mining drones like I kind of stupidly did. But yeah, 14 seems like a very arbitrary number, and it's definitely different now that I have, now that I have a different sort of fleet cap. But that was largely the reason. Although, I mean, if you think of it, right, like even now, I'm technically slightly over I'm over the fleet cap as it is, so I wouldn't be able to support that existing fleet. Or sorry, the ideal fleet in the back of my head. Another easy answer is the fleet manager always yells at me when I don't have the right number of ships. And yes, I could go into the fleet manager and change it, but basically it's a way that I can get past my tendency to underinvest in the Navy. Okay, so you can say out of the question or an excellent proposal, break out the glassware. So we get a bonus to happiness and monthly influence for 10 years, but we get reductions to science. Now, the funny thing is I always keep saying how I'm not generating that much. Yeah, you know what? Excellent proposal, break out the glassware. I feel terrible that I'm doing this, but there's a significant amount of debris in orbit around the gas giant. Most of it appears to come from long-lost starships of various configurations. But yeah, so if I get to 4K energy credits, I'm going to have a quick chat with the curators and open a subscription. Whoa, don't do that. The real dilemma for me right now is there's no reason for me not to build a colony ship. Well, other than the alloys right now. But it's a little uncertain whether I want to build it here. Or here. I suppose as far as sectors goes, it makes a little more sense to build it here. Actually, I should probably build it. The strong gravity well of Toral 2 has pulled a massive amount of space debris, which has formed a dense layer around parts of the gas giant. Most of it appears to be wreckage from a series of space battles fought in the system several millennia ago. Scavengers have already scoured the debris of valuable technologies and artifacts, but a mining station should be able to recycle the metal. Once they're done, the mining stations, I want them to close the gap to the Okal colony.
System resources analyzed.
Okay, specialist outputs, city districts. I feel like specialist outputs is the big priority right now. One, to get me back on my feet with research, but also to get my consumer goods up as well. The pursuit of profit has become a central tenet in our society. Those who are successful at any kind of enterprise are deeply admired, and the accumulation of energy credits is seen as an extremely worthwhile goal. Okay. Yeah, so I think the way I'm gonna work this out, we're gonna finish constructing here. I'm going to need to make sure, so we'll plug in the gap at this point. I want to make sure that this guy has enough resources to be able to build, like, sort of fill the gaps at this point. No, I actually should build a colony ship ahead of time because I need the time for them to...
Scientific progress attained.
Wixilia gets built, and then I think I'll build the colony ship. Introspective prioritization. Okay. So, moat stabilization seems to be the obvious choice. Everything else is kind of expensive. I have definitely underinvested in the military at this point. But volatile moats are going to be something that will improve my alloy production. So being able to exploit those resources sooner rather than later, I think, is worthwhile. I also happen to know that this is something that is available to me on some planets. And then secondary considerations, I do think I'm going to start improving the technology of my my fighters, assuming that it's not too expensive. But at this point, I think it's worthwhile. But yeah, I've underinvested in research, and I really don't have that many systems that are generating that much research. So I kind of need to smarten up on that. Obviously, we have other advantages based on some other circumstances that we found ourselves in, but clearly, I'm going to be on the back foot if I run into somebody who's been investing a lot in their research. Okay, apparently I was not paying attention with these guys. At this point, so I've sort of found what I consider to be my natural borders. It's going to take me a while to develop those. So at this point, we're going to go for automatic exploration. And I think here, I'm going to take out the Grand Herald. Alright, I gotta work this out again. Let's combine them up. Alright, I'm gonna have to sell out the minerals. Or, do I need to sell the minerals? I definitely have too much slack on all of these existing planets. Well, I can buy myself a little... No, I can't, because it's not room for 10. Okay, we are going to go to the market. Let's sell 2,000, and we'll buy ourselves... What did I get for that? We'll say 1,200. And as promised, I do have enough money for the curators, so... Greetings on behalf of the Curator Order. Was there something that you wanted? Can you aid us in our research? Of course, we're prepared to offer you limited data access to our extensive data banks for a period of 10 standard years. This should provide a significant boost to the research efforts of your planet-side science labs. We will require compensation for this service naturally, but I think you'll find that our prices are very reasonable. A wise choice that future generations of Akanos will no doubt laud you for. Okay. So that bought me my colony ship. And I think we will speed things up. So the aim here is going to be, again, to close up the gaps and then also to build... Our science officer has found an anomaly. It will require extensive probing, but it could garner a substantial find. So the aim here is to close up this particular gap so that I can create a new sector. I then want to get to sort of the choke point, especially because it will close off Cybrex Alpha for me. Having probed the frozen landscapes of the moon Lessim 4A, we think we have struck something big. Science Officer Perek Toros speaks of a bacterial life form unlike any other. It bonds with other individuals to form large blankets that are durable yet light, and also act like solar cells. They absorb solar energy with a surprisingly low efficiency loss percentage, most likely a result of evolution favoring those who could gather more heat in a harsh climate. Our researchers back home would surely find some use for this information. So find out if it can improve energy production or find a military use. Yeah, let's go for energy production. I think we're gonna have to wind up spending some energy to get alloys and whatnot. Strength from small places. Our energy development researchers have made progress with the samples we sent them from Lesson 4A. They have been able to develop a new type of solar cell using the organism as a template. These are much more efficient at storing energy and will provide a boost to all of our power plants. So 5% to jobs, that's always good news. We'll see what the effect... Yeah, we're up to 52 now. It's pretty good. Okay, so we've lost our engineer. Let's find our highest skill... Alright. And then obviously we need to hire a new one. I'm partly inclined... So this guy's 2 years older than my youngest candidate, but he does have experience gain, so I'm going to sign him up first. And I have a feeling that we're going to be going through quite a few...
Construction complete.
Oop. Let's get him focusing on the anomaly first. I have a feeling that we're probably going to wind up having to replace a lot of scientists in fairly short order. Okay, so this is taken care of. I'm not 100% happy with the choke points, but they're manageable, and I don't have a lot of information about this arm. So we're going to say, let's just accept what we've got right now, and we'll focus on gaining archaeological sites, because right now I've got a science ship that's not being used. Okay, we also lost a governor. So this one I might be willing to put some... get an older governor as long as... Yeah, looks like it's really just clear blocker or food, and I think because this guy is substantially younger, I think I'll go for the clear blocker. Although I don't think... Oh, we do still have some stuff to clear. We just don't have any way of doing it. Oh, we have the glaciers. I'll wait until I get the 2000 I'll wait until I get the 2K back, because obviously oh, I don't really need it though because it's mining. Well, I'll get rid of it anyway because it's cheap, but I'll wait until we're able to cover the cost of the curators again. Alright, despite the planet's lack of an atmosphere, there's evidence of some kind of artificial structure on Lesson 3 that may indicate a past civilization. I'm also interested... Okay, so he still has a level that he can advance to. Although I feel like he should be moving on to a dig as well. Tupravis is no longer number 1. Frozen in time, the crew of the ISS Ersk Hessent were intrigued to find the remnants of an industrial age civilization on Lesson 3. Investigation indicates Lesson 3 had sustained an atmosphere for millions of years until massive super flares from the unstable surface of the star Lessim led to a runaway ionization and depletion of the planet's atmospheric gases. With no atmosphere, the lifeless cities on Lessim 3 have been frozen in time for millennia, silent monuments to the mass extinction that happened there. Science Officer Perek Toros cautions that any colonies in the Lessim system may be subject to the whims of the star's turbulence. Interesting.
Construction finalized.
Okay, I'm assuming that was another... Oh no, that was the colony ship. Okay, let's get these guys to touchdown. Now this is gonna cause me... consumer goods trouble again, but... I'm willing to run a small deficit on those in the name of being able to get more pops. Alright. So, as is our way, we will sell 2 units. We're obviously paying through the nose for the fee, so we got, let's call it an even 1,000 for that. And we'll... And I think there was something that I was going to buy. Oh, that's right. I was going to... Wait, I got the governor. Right, there was clearing I was going to do. It's not really necessary, but...
Complete.
After identifying an anomaly in the gravity well of PX4981, the ISS Jalwadon has discovered the shattered wreckage of an ancient ore superfreighter buried deep within the asteroid's crust. It must have carried a full load when it crashed, and the asteroid's mineral wealth has been revised accordingly. By the way, it occurred to me I don't actually need to worry. I shouldn't be doing that. What I should be doing instead is creating the stockpile.
System resources analyzed.
Oh, and I've got an idle construction ship because I wasn't paying attention, so... Mining and research, another starbase, and we are actually in fairly decent shape as far as all the starbases are concerned. So the question now is, do I want to get my really far frontier colony out? Oh, I hate that I'm doing this, but I am. This is just going to make my Empire Sprawl explode, but it's also going to pay off like 100 years from now when we have a nice large population.
Together we will build a brighter future.
Okay, robot workers. These robotic work units are perfect for menial labor tasks. They are hardworking and capable of following simple vocal instructions, but should not be expected to climb stairs. Now, this one's a little tricky because you have to give up one of your special slots for them. So I gotta be a little careful in terms of where I place them as well as when. But for now, I think... I kind of wanted to get like the better weapons, but it looks like zero-G refineries are a fairly inexpensive option. Of course, it gives me more energy. So
construction finalized.
All right, so we're one pop away from the next upgrade. I suppose that's the bureaucratic complex, but following that we should be in a slightly better... I feel like I need to build a research center. Well, no, on this industrial world I think I'll build... I will wind up building another civilian industry before I build a research center, but a colossal impact crater hints that something big collided with the surface of this planet once.
Anomalous readings detected.
Okay, so now I need to... I think I'm actually going to dedicate... So here... Survey... And then I'm going to get them to excavate. I would have had them working on Poligar, but obviously my level 6 is already on his way, so... yeah, it's the industrial world, so that planet's already got it. It's just, I've already kind of used my low-hanging fruit as far as those improvements are concerned. I'm just at a point where I'm not producing enough. But the same could be said for research, but of course for research, consumer goods are an input, so... Yeah, it's when you say planet focus, I'm assuming you're meaning these, and industrial world is that focus. It gives you a 25% bonus to factory building, and a 20% reduction to artisan upkeep. Some kind of burrowing silicon-based life form inhabits a vast network of tunnels beneath the barren surface of Obitelis 1. As best as we can tell, these creatures feed off of rocks, and there is evidence to suggest that they possess a rudimentary form of intelligence. Their tunneling efforts have shuffled large amounts of valuable minerals to the surface. So these used to always be really exciting events, and of course now... complete. Now they're less so, because there's just not really... Oh, you know what's really wild? I actually have enough space to be able to build a robot assembly plant. The problem is I don't know if I can justify it, because I've got a total of 4 work slots. Although I suppose I can always distribute them among other planets. Okay, so what does this thing take as an input? The only other thing I could think of would be hollow theaters, but that's gonna see, that's so much better for the planet because it gives me unity. But yeah, minerals into robot jobs, that's really hard to turn down, so I'm gonna do it, and I'm probably gonna wind up exporting these robots more than anything.
System resources analyzed.
Some kind of unknown structures are floating in this gas giant's upper atmosphere. They appear to be using aerostatic lift to remain buoyant, so we'll research that. A large mineral-rich asteroid collided with Edor Vang 2 at some point in the previous 1,000 years in what must have been a major impact event. An abundance of minerals can now be found on the planet in the vicinity of the impact crater. Add 3 to Edor Vang 2.
Construction complete.
Okay, that's good news. So once this colony's up and running, we'll build a sector for these guys. And I was originally going to build a Corvette, but in this case... Oh, you know what? I should still be able to afford both, so I'm going to change my note. Like I said, a lot of this is going to be about closing some of the gaps in the Empire, as well as extending out to my natural borders. A ruined network of aerostat colonies dating back to at least 3 millennia can be found in low orbit of this gas giant. Their original function appears to have been gas mining, but they have since been abandoned and reoccupied by many different races and pirate groups. The colonies have been thoroughly stripped of anything even remotely valuable, but the mere fact that they are still aloft after all this time makes them an interesting subject for engineering research. So...
Construction finalized.
Yeah, I'm a little short on alloys.
Scientific progress attained.
Colonial bureaucracy. Local administrative developments allow for a closer supervision of colonial affairs without excessively burdening central decision-making. Okay, so I'll probably go for a cheap one here. The Xenohydraulic Mastery is tempting, although terrestrial sculpting is also pretty tempting because I certainly have no shortage of worlds. Well, I won't be able to convert a tomb world. But probably an arid or an ocean world? Continental worlds? I will go for Xenohydraulic Mastery just because probably clearing blockers is a slightly more realistic goal for the future, but I should start considering terraforming, seeing as I'm going to be at the limits of my my empire for a little bit. Okay. I've worked myself into a corner in this part of the galaxy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move this construction complete. I'm going to move this construction ship to... I should be focusing a little bit on claiming some of these sectors, especially because this one has got... or systems, rather. This one has got alloys, so really I'm sort of shooting myself in the foot by not grabbing that resource. This one probably wasn't that wise of a move, but it does get me energy, so I'm okay with that. Hello! The Scavenger. The Despad system is a sprawling graveyard with mechanical debris. The wreckage of untold numbers of derelict ships circle the stars. Swaths of fuel and liquid coolant cloud our sensors like ghosts, and creaking station remnants collide with the shattered carcasses of planets on their path around the sun. An incredible construct stirs in the heart of this graveyard. It appears to be a gigantic machine, a robotic automaton larger than our greatest battleships. Jury-rigged from the scraps and pieces of 1,000 shipwrecks, the ISS Jal Wadon reports that the scavenging robot sifts through the debris with a fixed purpose, scrounging for useful parts to add to its patchwork configuration. It is a clear battle of astronomical proportions. It is clear that a battle of astronomical proportions once took place here, though whether the scavenger is its sole survivor or a scrap hunter from some distant nation remains unknown. We should exercise caution as the construct bears heavy artillery from dozens of warships. Disconcerting.
Evading hostiles.
Alright, well that definitely puts a limit on my moves. That is such a cool looking Titan though, or Leviathan. Okay, so that's going to complicate things a little bit for control of the sector. We do have, I think at this point we kind of have enough information about how everything's laid out to make some decisions in terms of where I want to put my defenses. An ancient orbital shipyard drifts in silence above this world. It has suffered significant battle damage, and entire sections of the facility are missing. And looks like we've already got progress on an archaeological site. So, the Rubricator. Toppled over buildings, crashed starships, lumps of melted junk, and trinkets burned to a crisp indicate that the former inhabitants of Poligar 5 fled their homes in the midst of a losing battle against a superior foe. The presence of bodies bearing foreign military insignia suggests that it may have been infighting between clans of rats native to the different homeworlds. Their evacuation efforts were impeded by their unwillingness to abandon their treasured trinkets, and many lost their lives scrabbling to save completely mundane items. One artifact, however, seems to have held a special place in their society, the Rubricator. It appears that they fought long and hard to save it, but ultimately had to leave it behind. So 6 minor artifacts. This was the kleptomaniac rats. This planet has played host to a mammalian society of compulsive gatherers and hoarders. Their labyrinthine city is littered with junk, and their towering ramshackle buildings pieced together from scraps of repurposed materials. As far as the eye can see, there are mountains of knickknacks, armaments, and artifacts. The tiny rat-like inhabitants did not produce any goods of their own, but were proficient spacefarers who likely pilfered the things that they needed, as well as a whole lot of things that they did not need from other alien cultures. So this should be pretty easy for us to get through, at least this chapter. And this guy's gonna make his first starbase.
Discourse feeding in progress.
Okay, so once this colony becomes a proper colony, we'll build a new sector. While conducting the survey of Folingar 9, the ISS Ersk-Hessent detected the remains of an automated shipyard in orbit. It is at least 1,000 years old and seems to have been subjected to a heavy missile barrage, but one of its manufacturing bays is still in working condition. Science Officer Perek Toros is confident that power can be restored to the shipyard, but it would be a significant project.
Situation log update.
I like significant projects. They give me something to do. And looks like it needs a construction ship. So what we'll do with this guy is... this will give me a little bit of a break after he does all the mining.
Construction finalized.
And against all odds, we actually seem to be doing okay for cohesion.
Finalized.
Okay, as always, we'll build the mining stations first and then move on.
Scientific progress attained.
Huh. Johnny will be happy with this. Kleptomaniac rats, the inventory. There is an order to the rats' chaos in some somewhat official-looking building towards the center of town. There is a digital inventory of every single item, complete with their origins, gross and misinterpretations of their intended uses, as well as some highly unhelpful notes on where to find them. The Rubricator, described as a thingamajig maker with magical powers, has its place to the right of the Empress's lilac ribbon, under her snout swabs, on the four-legged box with the funny face, wherever that is. Curious. More artifacts found. The next one is still relatively easy for this guy, but we were not guaranteed a win the first time around. Zero-G refineries. The addition of internal refineries on mining stations will substantially increase mineral production. So, I mean, I can go for even more mining, but in this case, I think it makes sense for me to start taking advantage of my specialized buildings. It's also specialization for Raoul Mikon, so that's good news, but again, it's still going to take us a while because I haven't been investing in technology. I'm also slightly curious where we're at, so I'm still 10 artifacts
System
short.
Resources analyzed.
But we'll be doing all right for... okay. I could sell a certain amount monthly, and I could also send a certain amount monthly to the sectors, but in this case I like doing it manually because it keeps me honest. Obviously in this case we've substantially overinvested in our ability to generate minerals, which is normally a very good thing, but unfortunately I don't have the infrastructure to transform them into anything more useful, and I think part of this just has its origins in me trying to balance the production of my existing planets. Oh, I also apparently completely ignored what was going on the agri world. So this one, I can decide to build something for alloys, or I could decide to build something for actually, a robot assembly plant would make a lot of sense here. I'm not gonna do it though. I'm gonna follow the plan. It's gonna be alloys. Hopefully, research shortly afterwards. But if I don't have the consumer goods, I'll be willing to build a robot manufacturing.
Construction finalized.
So now that we've got robots, cost me influence. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, I just want to do that for the sound work. That was cool as hell. Achievement unlocked. Unlimited power. So again, I'm probably going to have some unemployment problems before too long, but the nice thing about robots are that you can always ship them off-world. Here we're going to build a bureaucratic complex. This will help out with amenities. I'm also going to need to find 3 more jobs, so we will double up our energy. Actually, might as well do the third one.
System resources analyzed.
I don't know if I have any other tile blockers that I can clear, but it would be a good idea to do that now that I'm wealthy.
Construction finalized.
Inexplicable optical phenomena play across the surface of VMAS 6, clearly visible from space. So we'll research that. We will build our mining stations, and I don't have the alloys for the next starbase.
Construction finalized.
Alright, so surprisingly we have food problems. But this is due to the fact that we don't have enough farmers working right now. I can live with that. So, light show. Science Officer Perek Toros reports that the luminous waves coursing through the ice that blankets VMAS 6 is of alien origin. Some ancient battle has deposited scattered wreckage of an alien fighter on the frozen planet, and only the exposed core of its main weapons remain intact. It seems that this alien race used lasers fairly similar to the ones currently in use by the Akano fleets, and the fizzling innards periodically discharge low-powered lasers into the ice of VMAS 6. The planet's harsh climate prevented these lasers from actually melting the ice, allowing the chilly matrix to act as a brilliant prism. So in this case, we would have gotten the technology if we didn't already have it, but clearly we do, so... Okul has space for a new job now. It's a tough call whether or not I want to try for civilian industries on here immediately, or I think I'm against my better judgment, I'm actually going to try the Autothon Monument. So I still need to find one job for them. Let's build another city district for that. Esteemed High Queen Ilmas II, a decade ago, the Akano High Kingdom pledged to support the artisan troupe, and so you have. The time of your patronage is coming to an end, but we would be remiss not to ask, would you care to renew your subscription to the finest arts and crafts in the galaxy? As always, we will.
In progress.
Okay. A foul stench. The excavating team has discovered the source of the foul stench. Wait, there was a foul stench? has discovered the source of the foul stench, and it is ill-boding. Close to the center of the city are enormous piles of dried fecal matter and pools of corrosive bile that exude toxic levels of hydrogen sulfide, making protective equipment necessary to proceed further. The archaeologists could not identify the alien DNA in the fecal matter, but the piles contain partially digested hoarders. Whatever consumed these aliens swallowed them whole. Even more disconcerting is the discovery of a fresh pile. No Mjolnir Twitch. This is just my single player game. So what is it about the... It doesn't actually say anything about what the scent is. Actually, for a single player game too, we've been playing for a bit and we have not yet encountered anyone yet. So... Oh yes, the game definitely can be played online. In fact, the way it gets set up for online games is pretty cool, because if you have someone who owns the game, and let's say they have all the DLC, everybody else does not need to own it. Essentially, the host will transmit out all the DLC to the other people. Now, the one drawback on it is that different people are going to have different opinions about what the best speed is. And so I know that will sometimes be a point of contention. But basically, if you can all agree at a normal, at a kind of a
System resources
a
analyzed.
standard speed, this has multiplayer support, and I believe they are trying to extend the multiplayer support to be cross-platform. I know this game was recently released for console, so I suspect... with certainty you wouldn't be able to play with others on console, because they all are also on a different release schedule for DLC. But yeah, the simple answer to your question is you absolutely can play this game online, and it is very fun to do so, even though I don't do it often. Right, what am I going to do with...
Construction finalized.
Okay, so construction, we'll build our... Again, we're just trying to extend out to our choke point. Hey, the Cool Eagle, thank you very much for that host, or the raid rather. So what's this story pack about anyway? You've watched hours of Cool Eagle and you still don't know? Hey, Cool Eagle, here's a question for you. How many Titans do you have in the year 2253? Where is it? Yeah, look at that beauty. Do you have one of these? Cleano Dev, does Cool Eagle have 6? So yeah, welcome everybody from Cool Eagle's channel. I'm sorry, I have a notification for a host. I don't have notifications for raids, so I apologize for that. I will caution you, I'm actually getting close to wrapping up fairly soon. So the real dilemma for me is that I wanted to get the average viewership up a little bit for the reports, but I already started fairly late. So if you guys are looking for a long-term Stellaris caster, I do this every Monday, but I'm going to be wrapping up fairly soon. But we'll keep you around as long as we can. For those of you who don't know Cool Eagle is a... I don't necessarily want to call him just a paradox streamer. He's definitely done Surviving Mars and Stellaris and BattleTech. But of course, Stellaris is the only Paradox development studio game out of those, and I know, to my understanding, you don't quite have the same love of the historical games that I do. Which is not a slight on him, because Cool Eagle does a very good job of all of the sci-fi games that I've seen him play. I believe I've seen him play XCOM 2. He has done Stellaris, Surviving Mars. He plays the games much faster than I do as well, by the way. He has absolutely played more BattleTech than me. I like BattleTech a lot. I know that if it ever came down to it, he would completely demolish me in that game.
Together we will build a brighter future.
He's a really friendly guy, not just because he hosts me or raids me, but he's definitely somebody who I think is, especially when I'm normally off off cast at this point. So especially if I'm offline, he is definitely somebody who's he's a favorite of mine to host precisely because I think there's enough overlap in terms of interest. Not as much, but you dig Total Wars. Have you played the new Three Kingdoms one? It looked really good. It's just I have a really hard time getting into the Total War series. Cleaner Dev often says Paradox Interactive and the Cool Eagle are registered service marks of Paradox Interactive. All unauthorized use of these registered service marks or any clips including products described by these services marks are forbidden. Cool Eagle, Surviving Mars, 20th of May 2019. So what did you screw up, Cool Eagle? No judgments here. Volatile motes are fickle particles that are dangerous to work with. In order to safely harvest them without setting off a chain reaction of explosions, energy fields must be used to stabilize the motes. Okay, so research complexes are pretty much a 5-alarm. Like even with the Curator Exploration Lab, I'm actually going to do research complexes because this is going to be the key to me boosting my technology. I was working on this whole like try to specialize thing. This will actually finally allow me to realize that. So research exotic materials labs it is. Now I'm still gonna need the consumer goods, and I'm still gonna need like the who was that? Cargo Vroom, thank you very much for the follow. I'm still going to need all the stuff that are inputs to it, so exotic gases and consumer goods. Those aren't going away. It's just that I now feel less pressure to build additional research complexes at the moment. So... right. Sapient races have been reclaiming swampland for thousands of years. A coordinated system of modular aqueducts, pump stations, chemical remediation, crawlers, and automated soil compactors can reclaim land at unprecedented speeds. So a planetary capital looks real nice. I do actually have some food problems though, so there is a temptation... I think I am going to go for the planetary capital, but gene crops are probably going to be my next big priority just so that I can get this food issue dealt with. Thing is, I think we're going to, once we get our population growing on the agri-world, and especially once we get some robots working tiles, I have a feeling that there'll sort of be less of a problem. The consumer goods almost certainly will... I'll need to buy some, though. Okay. We can either get more clerk jobs or more housing. In this case, I'm just going to go for the housing. So Public Works Division, our growing cities will be augmented by inspired public works on a scale never before seen. To that end, a new government agency must be formed to oversee their construction. So I'm partly doing this to focus my population a little bit more on jobs that... there's not a good way to explain this. I'm trying to make it so that I don't have a sudden explosion of free jobs that people will be filling up. How many digs have you done out of curiosity, Cool Eagle? Because my dwarves have been pretty good at their whole digging thing. 3? Anything cool? Because I've definitely had some fun ones pop up.
Anomalous readings detected.
Optical sensors isolate a cluster of shapes on a barren surface of Zandaban B3A that could be buildings. Alright, we gotta be getting this soon.
Construction finalized.
Right. Looks like I actually need to do work. Alright, so this is my first little batch of moats. I'm happy about that. I think once this guy's... where's my other construction ship? So once he's done the research, I should probably double back and start building on my existing resources. I know I'll be getting crystals before too long, but we don't have them at the moment. Okay. I'm glad we did this. There also doesn't quite seem to be the same urgency about... Oh yeah, you know what I can do? Oh, more progress. I can finally build those 3 Corvettes I wanted. Was it really 3? Did I miscount? We've got 11. Nope, it's 14. So... I owe you 1 Corvette. You once summoned a horrible Oh. Alright then. The Empress Motel. At the very center of the city, overlooking the main square, is a grand, ostensibly decorated palace with a garish neon sign advertising the Empress Motel. Inside it are lavish chambers filled to the brim with treasure, from which the Empress and her board of trusted advisors governed. It is also where the hoarders held their last stand, defending the Empress and her precious rubricator. With any luck, the rubricator can still be found in its usual spot by the Empress's lilac ribbon. Okay. I still don't think we have enough to properly examine... Oh, we do! So, we will now do Secrets of the Cybrex. Only 121 months? Yeah, that's not happening. A robot stealing our jobs yet? Hopefully soon. Okay, consumer goods in a year, food in a long time. I'm mostly worried about the consumer goods, to be completely honest. Does it have something to do with this quest line? Because I really want to get my hand burned on the stove.
Construction finalized.
So... right now I'm thinking a little bit about what my next sort of 2 years in game time looks like. Clearly I've got a production problem in the fact that I'm not able to turn all these minerals that I'm generating into consumer goods. Part of that is driven by part of that's driven by my population growth. So here's an example. You know, I always sort of talk about trying to understand the game and trying to sit down and say, okay, why are things not turning out the way that I want them to? So let's think a little bit about the situation that I found myself into. Okay, Okul built a monument. Cool. So right now I'm saying, okay, I've got too many consumer goods.
Planetary worksite established.
Oh, good news. Okay, so we can already do... I'm going to pause a little bit just to talk about the situation. So it's... Alright, so my consumer goods are falling too far. So why? Well, my largest consumer of consumer goods is not actually jobs, it's pops. So we're on track in terms of this overall goal of getting people born. Like, the dwarves are making babies, and this is exactly what I want them to do. But unfortunately, we've not been able to keep pace in consumer good production. So there's a few ways we're going to solve this. Again, the capital world is sort of the template of the world that I want. We've got the headquarters. When we have a spare moment, we can build a stronghold. This helps with the naval capacity. A research lab, which of course consumes consumer goods, an alloy foundry, civilian industries, autothon monument, bureaucratic complex, and then Ministry of Culture and energy grid are special to this planet here. And then robot assembly yards would be nice on a case-by-case basis. The fact of the matter is the Empire capital doesn't really need it because we've got a total of 4 slots that will take robots as workers. but that's fine. I mean, I'm assuming that I'm going to be able to move these pops between different jobs, and in the worst case scenario, if I run out of good jobs for robots to do, I just ship them to another planet. Agri-world. Similar idea, we've maxed it out. The one thing that I would like as an improvement, if I can, would be to put either a research slot on here or a percent-based improvement for agriculture districts. Right now, we still have more slots that can be used, but obviously we're a little slow in terms of production. What I might wind up doing if I don't have the agri bonus, I might actually build a robot manufacturer just to overcome that issue. Anyways, I probably don't need to go over each individual planet, but essentially this is going to be the planet where I focus on civilian industries. I might even build mining districts here if it comes down to it. It's just that there were obviously more opportunities with the generator districts. I also need to make sure that I have enough housing available for all of the people who will be working in the civilian industries. But the thing is that in order to build another civilian industry tile, you need to have 5 pops, and each of those pops are going to wind up consuming consumer goods. So in this case, our enforcer takes up 0.6, our administrators take up 1.2, and our low-level technicians take up 0.3. And part of that is actually due to a policy that I instituted. I'm pretty sure I did anyway. Maybe it was a species thing. There was definitely like a... Or maybe I didn't bring that one in because I knew that would be a problem later. This is funny. I seem to remember there was one about sort of stratification that would... it would sort of ensure that there was like a... No, this is definitely one for the species. There's one where basically you sort of prioritize the knowledge workers. They get more... they get more of the goods... Living standards. Right, academic privilege. So academic privilege prioritizes the educated population to the general benefit of science. So of course it's great that you get, bonuses to happiness for rulers and specialists and they become that much more effective, but I just don't have the consumer goods to sustain it. So the way that I dig myself out of this hole, like, I don't want to have less population. I want to have more because, of course, those people are going to be working tiles. They're going to be producing the goods that I need. What I'm essentially doing right now is I'm generating a lot of energy and I'm generating a lot of minerals. Food's a bit marginal, but again, there's nothing that a set of robots won't be able to solve. In fact, arguably... I could probably be shipping those off right now. Yeah, we have the energy, so Rurius it is. And I'm going to have to buy the consumer goods, so... But yeah, essentially, once I get sort of my composition, so the problem here is less about, well, I suppose you can make an argument that probably I invested too heavily in like mineral extraction and things like that, but overall this is really just a matter of making sure that my pops are managed in such a way that I'm going to be able to get the most from the tiles. One of the things that will be nice about this planet after a while, I might even
Construction complete.
I might even skip the research on this world and instead immediately opt into like another civilian industry. But basically they get a reduction to artisan upkeep. So what I'm able to do is, like, let's say I find an alternative to civilian industries. In fact, one thing I might want to do is just convert this into a robot manufacturer. Once I'm able to sort of build more civilian industries on this planet, I'm going to be able to convert the civilian industries into other things on other planets. Obviously, once I'm at a surplus, like right now, we're in a pretty desperate situation as far as constructing all of this. But we're going to be able to sort of shift the production to specialized worlds over time. Anyways, Hidden Worlds. The crew clearing the swamp on Rurius Prime has made a breathtaking discovery. Partially submerged in the baggy waters and overgrown by vegetation is a colossal alien space station. Architecturally stunning and built with technology far superior to our own, it is a true work of art. The station appears to have crashed onto the surface, surviving the impact thanks to its unusual shielding capacities, which our scientists are now eager to examine. Regrettably, an archaeological excavation would prevent us from working the land until it's completed. So, where is this? I'm probably going to regret this, but we will excavate the site. Okay, it just affected my max districts. I can live with that. So what I'll do is when I get a science ship that's free... Actually, this guy's pretty good at research. So where are they going? Oh, they were heading... Okay, well, in that case, I'll just get them to focus on another excavation. Now, these guys, I forgot to get them set up. Looks like we're back to generating enough food. I think I am going to build farms here, though. And then I've got the connection that I need, so what we will do with Kabji, we are finally going to make the sector we always wanted. And we got 3 added. So the main reason I want to do this is so I can recruit a new leader. I've got eager, so lower cost and upkeep, longer lifespan, better experience. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to recruit this guy. We're going to put our old governor into the new site, and we're going to put the intellectual on the original colony. Now, unfortunately, the frontier, there's not much that Kraxima can do. It's going to be a frontier colony. Maybe once we get the Relic world, we'll be in better shape. How many do we have here again? 13? Talons from the void. A snarling, hissing fiend has appeared out of the void. With one swipe of her giant talons, she snatched the archaeology shuttle carrying the excavation team and the rubricator back to the ISS Jal Marathol, bending it open and prying the rubricator from within. It seems that we have finally had the displeasure of meeting the hoarding rat's assailant. The dragon must have been attracted by their countless treasures and made her nest within the royal palace, feasting upon their bodies. Perhaps she was on the prowl or observed from afar as we excavated the ruins, waiting for the right moment to strike. She appears to be growling something in our general direction. So, translate her animal noises or engage evasive maneuvers. We'll translate. The rats went squeak, squeak, squeak. Then their bones went crunch, crunch, crunch. Now it is your turn to tickle the inside of Shard's belly. Yes, you have been naughty, little ones. The rubricator belongs to the Shard. Please don't hurt us or give back the rubricator this instant. Oh, God. A thunderous rumble erupts from the dragon's belly. Suddenly her wings are wrapped around the ship, her steamy breath fogging up the windshield as she peers inside, a maniacal glint in her eyes. How did she get so close so fast? And is she smiling? Why, you whet my appetite, little ones. She purrs softly and then lunges at it with all of her might, fangs exposed. Oh boy! The archaeologists were preparing to leave when they happened upon a large hidden chamber cluttered with artifacts, gnawed bones, and a substantial amount of fresh slobber. There, under a used royal nose swab, on a four-legged table with a carving of a face they confirm was indeed funny, sat the Rubricator, maker of thingamajigs, right where it was supposed to be. A tiny, insignificant-looking cube spewing out a continuous stream of artifacts. The Rubricator is a replicator, an ingenious alien invention that can make endless copies of just about any artifact. And as soon as it is ours, the planetside team will begin the journey back to the safety of the ship. Thankfully, we will never know what attacked the Hoarders. Alright, am I gonna lose my really awesome scientist? I hope not. Yeah, not looking good. I don't know. It definitely looks like Cool Eagle.
Science vessel destroyed.
Yep. Well, Tupravis died when the Jal Marathal was destroyed, so I'm gonna have to build a new ship. And now we've got a new target practice.
Special inquiry concluded.
The ISS Cal Eurolon has successfully restored power to the automated shipyard over Folengar 9. The facility immediately resumed its interrupted construction order, using what materials it had on hand to build 3 advanced raiders of an unknown design. Unfortunately, the ancient facility broke down completely afterwards and has been deemed beyond repair. We have sent crews to the new ships and commissioned them into our fleet. Okay. So we've got fancy new raiders, which we'll immediately throw at the dragon. No. So it's actually really exciting. So it's exciting to know that apparently you can get titans and then you can spawn leviathans. As a result of the excavations. This is really neat. Unusual tectonics. What the ISS Gel Wydon found on Zandaban B3A were not buildings, but surprisingly regular mineral outcroppings. Science Officer Ganek Cap asserts that these angular blocks of rock are the product of interactions between tectonic plates, their shapes, and the result of unusual tectonophysics inherent in the planet's crust. The perfect angularity of these thrust faults implies a possibility of aliens tampering with Zandaban B3A's crust at some point in the past. So I think it's less likely that I'm going to be able to visit that planet, but... Anyways, I'm trying to figure out if now is a good time to call it for the stream, because I'm now half an hour over my time, and... Oh, an abandoned gateway! We have located what we believe to be an ancient subspace gateway near the Howling Vortex. It appears to have been part of a galaxy-wide network of similar stations which, when operational, allowed for near-instantaneous travel from one part of the galaxy to another. At some point after its initial construction, its connection to the rest of the network was severed. It now offers only one valid destination, an uncharted group of stars just beyond the galaxy that our astronomers have designated the L Cluster. Even more intriguing, the gateway was built entirely by microscopic nanites of an unknown design. Although the gateway emits a faint power signature, it has been deliberately locked into some kind of maintenance loop that prevents its activation. Until we find some way of aborting this process, the L Cluster will remain beyond our reach. Intriguing. Alright. I will give it until I get my new ships back with the Grand Herald, but
complete.
I think I'm gonna have to. I think I'm gonna have to call it. As much as I enjoy hosting Cool Eagles stream buddies. Ooh, this is a tough one. This guy's relatively old. Like, he's only got about 30 years left. But he is good at finding anomalies. And that's kind of what I need for an explorer. No, I'll go for the Fire Crumbs. Thank you very much for that follow. Yeah, we'll go for the young one. Now, I was originally using that ship to be able to do archaeology projects. Obviously, I don't need to do that anymore. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to send that guy off to see what the... what the potential of this area is. There doesn't really seem to be a whole lot going on. If I want to come up with some sort of defensive position... yeah, there really isn't one. Yeah, this is going to be a little hard to secure. That's fine. I mean, a lot of this really depends on us making first contact. I don't think I've ever had a game that's gone this long. All right, well, you got to turn in, knowing you're hopping off soonish too, but good night. All right, thank you very much, the Cool Eagle. Out of curiosity, and when you did that event, did you pick the same options as me? I'm a little curious, much like Ed Baver, as to whether or not it's completely deterministic, or if there's a way that you can beg for mercy with the dragon. Yeah, let's think a little bit about the borders.
Construction complete.
I just, please God, don't eat us, and the dragon spawned and ate our outpost. Okay, fair enough. So in terms of entryways that I want to defend...
System resources analyzed.
Either Torel or Uladius. I mean, obviously, it would be great if I could get the Howling Vortex, because that's an L gate, but obviously I need to stop expanding at some point, because it's costing me more research points, and I have not put any investment into research, which is going to wind up hurting me. Nope, looks like we lost our engineer. Man, our engineers always keep dying. Alright. Perictoros is on their way to archaeology, so I don't want to interrupt that. Genius it is. You definitely can do PvP in this game. It is set up so it's much like Civilization or Total War or any of these other things. It is possible to, like, you are one species among many. So there are different ideologies in the game. My characters are xenophobic, militarist, and materialist. Presumably, if we find another xenophobic species, we will feel, solidarity with races of all colors and racists of all colors and creeds. But basically, yeah, like you decide how you want to engage with other species, and because there is multiplayer in the game, you are able to be as nice or as unkind to your to your comrades as you wish. It is very tempting to do the recycling campaign. I just don't know when my curator bill is going to come up, so I'm going to have to wait a little bit on energy. Of course, there are also Bro Tracky D, thank you very much for the follow. I'll just caution you, I'm actually going to be logging off in a little bit. One of the other things that can be said too is that just because you are playing an ostensibly cooperative game with someone does not necessarily mean that you won't be incredibly selfish in the way that you wind up playing, and that can of course have an interesting dynamic. You don't necessarily have to be at war with someone in this game to cause problems for them. So similar idea here, we're building a generator district because it'll give us two pops worth of jobs, one city district because that'll help me with housing and amenities.
Anomalous readings
yelling
detected.
at me because of the consumer goods. While scanning the asteroid belt, our science team found some sort of irregularity. Let's see if there's any other blockers I can get rid of. So this one I can't until we get rid of the archaeological site. Although fortunately we do have dust caverns. Kabji, we can clear the blocker. Oh cool. Oh wow, there's a lot here. This will be a little too expensive for me. One of the reasons I'm doing this all right now is that this particular governor is very good at removing blockers, so even if I don't take advantage of it in the heat of the moment, it's a bit of a savings on my my energy credits to have this governor do it as opposed to any other one.
Finalized.
All right, what happened at the starbase? I'm assuming it's... Oh no, it's... I mistook it. This is good news because it's more alloys for me. Alloys are going to allow me to get a little bit more done as far as expansion. You'll notice I did not renew my policy of, or my edict for research
Scientific
grants. That's
progress
because
attained.
it'll cost me 200 influence. That's over half, and I'm gonna need all that influence to build up my expansion. So I kind of want to get this dealt with before I do anything else. Okay, rare crystal mining. Mining these crystals without damaging or even destroying them is an extremely delicate process. It requires advanced equipment capable of pinpoint precision. Now, what's my junior engineer going to do? Civilian fabricators is an absolute must. This is going to be what saves my species. So civilian fabricators will allow me to upgrade my... they're going to allow me to upgrade my my factories. Notice, so it will produce 3 extra jobs at base production, base upkeep, 30 minerals in exchange for 30 consumer goods. So let's just take a quick look at what will happen with this. So right now we're consuming 77.14 and we are producing 52. Well, actually, here's the better way for me to look at it. So so this planet's the industrial world. In terms of crystals, we've got 1. Oh, really? Is it just the 1? All right, I've got the 1 that I can exploit from... Oh, no, sorry. I've got 3 that I can exploit from space. And I'm assuming I'll probably have 5 in total. So that'll be 5 of these industries. I go from 12, which I'm generating right now, to 30. So that's going to be an additional 18. And then, of course, as we continue to build out this planet, I'm going to be getting the bonus of faster factory build speeds, lower artisan upkeeps, and in addition to sort of building up all my civilian industries, what I'm going to wind up doing is I'm going to be decommissioning these civilian industries on these planets in favor of other sort of more appropriate resource production. So for instance, one of the biggest priorities I have right now for Rurius, which is my agri-world, is to switch the civilian industry out for a robot manufactory, because I can then build all my agriculture districts, I can build up a bunch of mining districts, and I'm going to be able to get all of those jobs all of those jobs will be basically done by robots. I don't think I have any new ones. So we're finally at the point, after running quite a few deficits, we're now within shooting distance of being able to sort of specialize our planets a little bit more. And then, of course, what I'll be focusing on, there will probably be another industrial world that I wind up making in the Kabji Prime system. Really good candidates are planets like this one, where there's like 3 energy for like. There's really not a lot going on here as far as resources are concerned, so this allows me to build a bunch of like industry. So what I'm really shooting for, if I can, like maybe say this one's going to be another industry world, maybe this one will be an alloy world, and this one will... Oh, actually, it looks like I'm already building this one as an industry world. So, yeah, I got to think a little bit about that. Anyways, one way or the other, one of these will be industry, one of these will be alloys, one of these will be research, and then I might be able to sort of retool a couple of these other worlds towards some other ends. But overall, we're looking good. I guess I did say I was going to wait for these ships to go into port, but I'm really running out the clock here. I guess while these guys get their move on, I'm going to see if there's anybody I know online. Crystalline asteroids. The Polymar system is home to an unusually dense asteroid belt that is displaying some unique properties. Several of the larger asteroids are covered in crystalline outcroppings that would suggest the presence of extremely rich mineral deposits. However, long-range sensors are tracking sporadic movement from what appears to be several small objects or possibly spacecraft in the denser regions of the belt. We are unable to get a fix on them, but debris from at least 2 destroyed mining stations can be seen floating in space next to some of the larger asteroids. Something isn't right.
Construction finalized.
Alright, we lost another one. So... what are we looking at here? I think probably it's better that I reassign this captain. And I'll replace him with somebody who's good at... yeah, we'll put him in place for an archaeology run. I mean, he might wind up dying to the to the event anyway, but... Okay, so this guy's going to build out mining stations and research stations. We've got 3 until I get to the sector that I want, and then we can sort of pick these off at our leisure. I should also probably start thinking about moving my fleet into position to clear out what was blocking my movement here. What can only be described as a dimensional portal has been discovered in a remote location on Ceridon Prime. Weather prediction algorithms noticed a strange air current which was eventually determined to be caused by a slight leakage of atmosphere into the portal. The rate of loss is far too small for it to make any difference to life on Ceridon Prime, but the very existence of this portal raises some disturbing questions, such as where does it lead to? Or could something come through from the portal from the other side? Intriguing. So... okay, so it just kind of came out of nowhere. Am I willing to spend 20 months? What am I giving up? I really do want those research complexes. I kind of need to get out of the Stone Age on my research. So we'll say no on that for now, but what I am going to do is I'm going to start marking some of this stuff. So track it. This costs too much. So the Rubricator is guarded by Shard the Dragon. She must be defeated before we can claim this powerful relic on our own. Fair enough. Unknown contact. This one I am going to stop tracking because we can't... Oh, hang on. React. Ah, we can inhabit it now. But I think I'm going to focus on the excavation first, so... Okay, I'm going to do a quick patrol of my existing planets. So we're on track to getting to 50 on the capital. Rurius has a surplus of jobs. They also have a surplus of jobs here, but in reality we really need to get to that 20. Kabji is on its way to 10. Now we don't know what they're doing with 10 afterwards. I'm probably just going to build an Autothon monument, and in that case I want 2 more mines. Oh cool. So they're on their way to 10. I know I'm going to build a generator at some point, so I might as well get that out of the way. We're working on our way to 5, so I don't think I'm going to fall over myself here. And then Craxima Prime, we're already on our way to building the city district and whatnot. This one's a pretty clear candidate in terms of building up all the energy. This is going to be another one that gets like an energy grid and whatnot too. It's very hard. So energy is probably the hardest thing to have too much of. Because in the end, it's not just that you can store it if you get in a pinch. It's that you can buy so many other goods with energy that I really can't think of a situation where you'd say it's like, okay, well, I've got enough for that. So normally I'd like to go for the anomalous. You know what? I know I'm gonna have to pay for it later, but having a good anomaly seeker. Oh, hang on, but we just lost the person who's going to be doing the archaeology work. Okay, let's rethink. I got somebody in a science ship who was good at doing archaeological stuff. Oh, am I really okay. That kind of makes me sad that I'm doing this. But I actually don't think... I think as far as my scientists are concerned... Unless they're... Yeah, like I've just completely thinned out my bench here with all those deaths. So it's a necessary transition. It had to happen sometime. So now I do have a lot of alloys. I think what I'm going to start doing here is building up a few destroyers. Just one at a time for now, but... Again, I don't exactly need to worry about this because of the Titan that I have, but it would be nice to kind of carry on as if I was going to... Did I really forget to build that last Corvette? Shame on me.
System resources analyzed.
It's kind of nice to pretend that I have a standard navy as well, because I don't know what I'm going to be facing, and there are maybe some times I don't want to just bring a Titan into the fight. There are other times that I can bring the smaller fleet to deal with stuff. So, okay, so Palomar's dealt with. The science ship's going to go and do its archaeology on the robot debris. We've got old Alvania turning out golems. The final rest, by what has to be beyond astronomical odds. The ISS Jalwaydon actually managed to pinpoint the source of the odd signals as it soared past through the asteroid belt. A tiny alien construct. A simple scan reveals that it is some sort of ritualistic container holding the remains of an alien spacefarer. We can let the coffin continue its voyage for 250, or we can open the coffin and study the corpse, and in this case we will study the corpse. Also, I'm going to resettle one of my robots. Same deal here, I just want them working on the farms.
Our research has progressed.
Thank you very much for that follow, Jaden1942. Okay, research complexes. This is going to be sort of the next big phase, like we were talking about. This is sort of one of the things that's really satisfying about Stellaris is sort of setting plans in motion. So even though we've been running deficits in terms of consumer goods, all of it has been gearing towards what's going to be paying off right now. So we've got exotic materials labs. As we explore the galaxy, we continually encounter new materials and substances that are unfamiliar to us. Cataloging and analyzing these discoveries will require new facilities. So moving on, I'm going to go for the cheap tech where I can find it. In this case, a fusion reactor might be a good idea. Normally I'd kind of opt for... Oh, actually... Ooh, I like sensors, archaeology skill +2. Yeah, you know what, fusion reactors, as much as I like them, I've been focusing a lot on archaeology. But yeah, so the drawback right now, like I only have one research lab right now, and this is not really by design, this is just unfortunately how it turned out. So once I get a source of exotic gases, I'm going to be able to upgrade the research complexes. And in this case, again, we get 3 additional jobs. This one gives me 8 of each type of research. This gives me 20 of each type of research. And it'll cost, the price difference is another 6 consumer goods. So this is the sort of thing that I want to be building more of, if I can. And the whole sort of plan for this playthrough was to try and get a little more specialization done. So the first phase of this is going to be to start improving the industrial worlds and getting their specialized civilian industries built. We will be getting those in 18 months. We had a bit of a slip up through the fact that we lost one of our good engineers, but let's not talk about that. So once we have some good sort of civilian production in place, I am going to need to start looking for exotic gases. I might be able to refine them on my own. It's usually better if I can mine them. And that's, in the worst case scenario, I believe if I trade with ZeraCorp. Yep, so ZeraCorp will trade me for exotic gases for energy credits. And I certainly have no shortage of energy credits. If I want, there are some ways that I can improve the quantity of energy credits quite a bit. So again, it's going to take me a little bit to work out of this hole, but we're in this really nice position where we've got a reasonably large empire, which is, it's a decent enough foundation. We certainly have enough of a population to be able to get the industrial base really kicking into gear now that we have the technology to kind of accomplish some of the specializations we were looking for earlier. And then next stream, which will be next week, actually between 7 and 10, not this mysterious late time that I chose. There's going to be 2 priorities that we have. Number 1, I'm going to want to sort of close off some of the gaps that I've got in my existing sprawl. I've underinvested in my star bases, and at this point I've got a capacity of 7, so there's really no excuse for me not building any of these other star bases. And then we're going to be sort of focusing a lot on building up our industry. If we do wind up running into another species, obviously that's going to change things, but the nice thing about what we've got right now, we know that we're on 2 arms of the galaxy. We're going to be able to reach most of the interesting places that we want. We've got a strong navy due to the fact that we got quite lucky with one of our archaeological expeditions. And we sort of are generating enough surplus in other places that if it comes down to it, I'm always able to buy my way out of my consumer goods. The one thing I'm really the most worried about right now is how far I've let my research fall behind. But it may turn out, depending on what the rest of the galaxy looks like, it might be that we're still in reasonably good shape. And I sort of believe I sort of believe that we should be able to get around it with even if we just buy some time so that we can invest in our science again. As long as we avoid taking on a war with somebody who's stronger than us as a result of technological advantages, we should still be able to come out on top. So thank you very much, CleanoDev. Of course, it's worth remembering, for those of you who have been hotly anticipating Ancient Relics, you are a few hours away from this thing becoming available. Again, I'm very grateful for Paradox for tossing me a key to show this to you ahead of time. We're going to continue on with this playthrough, and then I'm going to find some way of finishing the story of Rhizome Capital. I really did enjoy that playthrough. I'm really enjoying this dwarf playthrough as well. So, Stellaris definitely gives lots of opportunities for some really fun stories, and it's obviously always really fun to share these with you. I have one small dilemma, which is I don't really know who to host. Oh, yes, I do. Kilgore Trout is doing Ultima. So I don't know of anybody I don't know anyone doing Stellaris right now that's doing Ancient Relics, other than like the guy with 1,000 people watching him right now, and I figure you already know that one. So in this case, I am going to host the GOG channel. Kilgore Trout is a really friendly and fellow Canadian streamer. I believe he's doing what he calls box hype right now. So he's got a big collection of old video game boxes. I am going to take a minute to introduce him. So for those of you who have no interest in anything but Stellaris, do feel free to click that game button down below. It will show you who's streaming the game. I do normally like to give a host to anybody who's streaming the new DLC, especially a smaller streamer who's streaming the new DLC, but I don't actually see anyone. SYG Watch, thank you very much for the follow. I don't actually know anybody who's streaming Ancient Relics. There was a thing this time around which gave people sort of an incentive to tag their broadcasts with Ancient Relics, and so I kind of have to assume that a lot of the people who I would normally host, based on audience size, may not be doing this new DLC. So again, I'd love it if you'd come along and give some support to Kilgore Trout. He is a very talented caster, loves playing classic games. He played them when they first came out, and I really get a sense of sort of the enthusiasm and the passion that he has for them in a way that other streamers, especially who do older games, don't always communicate. So I do encourage you to check him out. No hard feelings if you don't. And then as far as I'm concerned, for the rest of the week, tomorrow there's going to be another pre-recorded episode of Daggerfall. I believe this one had some audio problems, so apologies for that. Wednesday, we're going to be back to Cultist Simulator. We will be continuing the Priest run-through. The Ghoul is going to be on ice until we finish the Priest. And then on Friday, I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do. I'm actually looking at a whiteboard with a massive list of games that I want to run. So I am going to leave that one a mystery, but feel free to check out Twitter. I'll be sure to announce it when I know what I'm playing. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you tomorrow if you like VODs, Wednesday if you like Cultist Simulator, and next week if you like Stellaris. See you later.